There'll be a lot of interactions taking place. Something can come out.
இது இவங்களோடது ஐசி சார் லேப்டாப் ஸோ
Good morning. Good morning. A little more louder. I think all of us are energetic in the morning. Good morning. Yeah, very warm welcome to every one of you here. It's a pleasure to welcome you for the day's event. DST-GDC's INCUBATE program, Gamechanger event today. We have a packed program with presentations by startup teams who have gone through a program. They're going to display the learning journey and their plan to take their ideas forward, followed by talks by our director and chief guest, Mr. Ramesh Mangaleshwaran. And we'll also have a panel discussion. We'll have a representation from DST team as well coming and talking to us about the vision of lab to market initiatives. Before we start the day's proceedings, we'll start with our invocation. Request all of you to stand. We'll start with Tamithai Varthu, followed by Vande Mataram.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ்வரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் மதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரிதனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் வணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திறம் வியந்து செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே 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 வந்தே மாதரம் வந்தே மாதரம் சுஜலாம் சுஃபலாம் மலயஜ சீதலாம் சஸ்யஸ்யாமலாம் மாதரம் வந்தே மாதரம் शुभ्रज्योत्स्ना पुलकितयामिनी फुल्लकुसुमितद्रुमदलशोभिनी सुहासिनी सुमधुरभाषिनी सुखदां वरदां मातरं वन्दे मातरम् वन्दे मातरम्.
Thank you. We'll start the day's proceedings by a welcome address, with a welcome address by Professor Krishnan Balasubramaniam.
Very, very good morning to all of you, and thank you so much for being here. I know that Monday morning of any week is a hard ask, but seeing that a lot of people are trickling in, and I'm sure many of you have realized that we need more innovations in how we handle the traffic, particularly just outside IIT Madras. So hopefully one of these days the innovation will happen. That also is an opportunity for each one of you. I'm very, very happy and thank each one of you for taking the time to spend the entire morning with us. This is the DST-GDC INCUBATE program. As you probably know, GDC is now 7+ years old, and GDC is now partnering with DST since about a year ago. So today, most of the startups that are going to be talking about their journey is going to be from the recent group of DST-GDC. I'm sure we'll get the statistics covered a little later, but we've got about close to 500+ ideas that have been curated by GDC over the years. About 150, 160 startups, many of them doing really well. And what is important to realize here is that this is accomplished by a very small set of individuals dedicated to GDC's mission, led by Raghu and Subbu and many others, KV Anand and others. But it is done by a few for many, many. So we are about less than 10 people, all right? And so we are a lean, in many ways, a lean startup, okay, by ourselves. But I also must say that we are, you'll also, and many of the students and the cohort participants will realize that they're just not lean, but they are very mean also, okay? And the reason why they have mean is because they have to be mean and put every one of the participants in the most uncomfortable positions, ask some of the difficult questions that none of them have come prepared for. Not only that, the team actually encourages them to go out and seek what the customer and the stakeholders are interested in. So a lot of the problem that we try to solve is to change the mindset of individuals. Now here we are looking at lab to market. Must realize lab means maybe researchers, faculty, research scholars, students. Their mindset is often to say that they know everything. See, I'm a faculty myself, and I have to change my mindset from saying that I know everything and I know what you guys want, and I'm going to serve you what you want, from that mindset to saying I will do what it takes to make my customers happy. So what is that? And that discovery by the teams that participate in these cohort is a transition. And I'm sure you're going to hear from several of these teams how they went through the transition and what it took. It's also important to understand that there's a lot more to do beyond this. So all we are doing is to get them started on the journey. Answer certain questions that are very important. Who is the product or the solution for? Who will buy it? At what price? In what form? These are important questions that we actually try to answer. In some ways, if you look at it, we are trying to look at every problem and say, what is the right thing to do? And then later on, we have to still figure out how to do it right. Okay, so that is the change that we are trying to inculcate. It's usually a 6 to 7 week interaction, a lot of self-learning and self-realization. And many times you'll hear from the teams the aha moment. The aha moment is when the team figures out what will sell to whom and in what form, at what price. Okay, so it is very important for you to understand that journey. And once you understand the journey, I believe that it's something that's replicated. So we are looking at how we replicate this across India. Today we are probably in 100+ institutions already, most of them STEM institutions. We also want to thank some of our industry sponsors. I see Varda here in the back from TDK, ArcelorMittal, and many others who have also decided that they also want to be a part of the journey. And so together, I think it's important for us to see how we can take the innovation mindset of India to the next level, to make India proud and to make the young people self-reliant and self-employed to a large extent. And create large employments. So with that, I thank the GDC team for doing a wonderful job here, and I want to thank all the chief guests, DST. I also see the panelists. I see Kunal here. Vishesh should be joining us any minute. And I think Satya is going to join us from, he's actually shooting the Idea Buzz in Mumbai. So he'll be joining us, I think, online. So thank you and have a great day, a great morning, and look forward to it. Just a last thing. This campus is just not got only a 20 kilometer per hour speed limit to offer to you. That also gives you an opportunity to look at what's going on in terms of not just the research that's going on, but also the flora and the fauna that is amazing. So it's very rare to see deers come and just be next to you. Of course, beware of the monkeys, and most importantly, beware of our students. So thank you.
Thank you, Professor Krishnan, for your welcome address. Professor Krishnan also happens to be, how we describe in GDC, a professor who thinks entrepreneurially. As a faculty here, Krishnan has got about 10 startups the past decade or so. He epitomizes the quintessential nature of a faculty, how we can think entrepreneurially. Apart from being entrepreneurially minded faculty, he also teaches mechanical engineering in IIT Madras, and he also heads the non-destructive testing lab and holds several positions in the national and international bodies of NDT testing. And thank you so much. And he is also the professor in charge of Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center for Innovation. He has been a guiding force for about past 8 years since GDC has been in existence. Thank you, Professor Krishnan. It's good to see almost a houseful audience on a Monday morning. Thank you for all taking time and then fighting with the traffic outside and being there in time here. We move on to the next speaker. I would like to invite Raghuttama Rao, the CEO of Gopalakrishnan Deshpande Center. He's recently been titled as Dr. Raghuttama Rao. Welcome him on the dais. Raghu and me were batchmates in IIT long ago, 40 years back, and he comes with rich background in management school, and he also has been a consultant with ICRA services and done many things, and I had the opportunity to pull him back to IIT Madras in 2017 when he quit his corporate career to head this GDC, and it's been a wonderful journey the past 8 years or so. Over to Raghu.
Thank you, Subbu. I had to prevent him from doing more damage. Right? So good morning and welcome to all of you. So Professor Krishnan has already told us we are a lean and mean machine, right? But I thought I'll put some more color to what this leanness and meanness means. So GDC is about 8 years old, 8+ years old now, right? And it's gone off before we could blink our eyes. That's really how it happens. We are actually working in over 150 colleges and incubators across India. So the vision of the founders really was how can we catalyze science which is there in 4,000 STEM institutions in India. How can we get them to market? I was thinking it's only 150. We are actually doing some work with Niti Aayog. We are actually touching 400 incubators, 100 of them in person, at least one across each state of India. So clearly, we are getting a very, very good pulse of, what is happening in the innovation ecosystem, right from the labs, right, into pre-incubation, the tinkering labs, what have you, and then, of course, the incubators, and then everything else after that. It's only after that that the media becomes aware, what is this animal called startup. Many of you are obviously working in the trenches. So I thought I'll just take some 5 minutes to explain what does GDC actually do, right? What do we actually do? Even people who have gone through us sometimes, don't describe us very well. Today you will obviously see 6 teams, right, which have gone through the DST-GDC INCUBATE program and share their journeys, and KV Anand will walk you through that session. But let me tell you what GDC actually does, because there are many faculty members here, right, in many other colleges, and even outside Chennai, many of students here, many of them are aspiring entrepreneurs So you should get an idea of what actually GDC does. We are not an incubator. We are not a pre-incubator. We are not an accelerator, right? Then what the hell are we, right? Right? We do not create startups. There are other bodies in the country. There are 1,250 plus incubators. We are not one of them. We aspire to work with every one of them. We aspire to work with every one of the STEM colleges besides IIT Madras. And we do with about 150 of them. So what do? We create entrepreneurs. That is what is missing. In the early stages of science lab to market, what we have in abundance is science and technology and research, right? And that by itself does not create startups. There's a big mistaken notion, right, that if your technology is good, your science is robust, your research is world-class, things will follow. All you need is an incubator, all you need is some mentors, all you need is some seed money, maybe venture capital, and it will take off. Nothing could be farther than the truth. There are two missing ingredients which GDC tries to bring in very experiential fashion to the teams, to the faculty and researchers who are aspiring to set up startups. And we help the incubators, the pre-incubators, and maybe even the investor ecosystem to bind this glue. What are these two things? One is cultivating an entrepreneurial mindset. You will hear this from the teams that come by later. What is this animal called entrepreneurial mindset, right? How does a researcher's mindset or an academic mindset differ from that? And why is it so essential to build deep tech, any startup? I mean, we are talking of deep tech startups here. The second one is people who are trained in science and technology. In fact, the more training you get, right, we find that you are getting farther and farther away from understanding something called business acumen. Academic clocks and business clocks work very differently, right? People who have worked in corporates and people who have worked in academia don't naturally see each other, in the same lens. As somebody said, academia works in semesters, whereas business works in quarters, right? And those two could be very different units. So what does business acumen mean? How do competitive businesses work? What does winning in business mean? Winning in academia, in research labs, in seminars is very, very different from winning in business. And I think unless that knowledge is bridged, a startup is dead in its tracks. It doesn't take off. And I think these two ingredients and much around this is what we enable our participants to learn experientially. To the faculty, I'll say this, faculty are talented. They have done their 9 yards of hard work and research and all of that, very knowledgeable. But what is it that we like to bring to the table is how does research transform to impact? There are lots of words that are thrown around. Proof of concept, prototype testing, product market fit, minimum viable product, business model. You ask different people, they'll come up with different definitions. So it's not a question of semantics and getting the lexicon right here. It is getting the thinking itself right of what does it mean to translate science to a very viable, impactful and disruptive startup. And the faculty have disproportionate impact in an academic institution. A good faculty can inspire an entire generation. And we, through our program, would actually like to get faculty to that zone where they understand this and are able to translate this to an entire generation of wannabe entrepreneurs, because we can't do that. And I think that is the mission of GDC. That's why it's very important for us to have a faculty in every startup that we work with. So as Professor Krishnan said, we have worked with over 500 plus. We just crossed our 500 startup last month. We have worked with over 275 faculty members. So that's a great achievement. Given that we have several thousands of faculty, we would actually like to cover all of them, right? A word about DST. This program got conceived about 18 months back here. Professor Karandikar was here and we met him. over an event about 18 months back. And then the DST-GDC program was spawned. Pramod, please come up. So at that point of time, we started this as a joint endeavor, as a joint platform. DST has obviously been one of the pioneers, and we have Dr. Pramod Shankar here from DST. So they have been one of the pioneers and change agents in the deep technology space. And we thought that this would be a great opportunity to bring what we thought, marry entrepreneurship and business savviness with people who understand technology. So that's what the DST-GDC INCUBATE program is about. We have done 4 cohorts. We have a plan to do 20. Out of them, we have done 40 startups from 31 colleges, from 15 states. So it's a very national program, even as it has started. By the end of 20 cohorts, I think we would have covered all 30 states, and we would probably have done maybe 200 plus startups, right? And you will hear the journeys of transformation of a handful of them from all the 4 cohorts. We have actually got them today. And we encourage everyone, this program is being webcast. This program will also come out to YouTube, and to all of those who are here, please think about, when you think about entrepreneurship, when you see yourself as a serious entrepreneur, right? Which means you want to dedicate your career to entrepreneurship, not being 3rd year and 4th year in college and want to do a project. There are other programs that GDC has for that. But this is meant for people who have understood science and technology, have started to create something and want to commercialize that to solve a wicked or a challenging problem. This program is great for people who want to set up, faculty and researchers alike. So today we have more than a proof of concept with about 40 teams having gone through, and some of them sharing that their experience with you. And hopefully we will have many more to join us on this. So thank you very much once again. I thank all the leading speakers who have come here, starting from Dr. Pramod, Ramesh, my good friend Ramesh from McKinsey. He works very intensively at IIT Bombay and many other institutes and corporates. He has a lot of insights to share. And we have our other panel members, Kunal, who's been a student here, gone to IMA and with IMA Ventures now. Vishesh, whom we'll soon see, I guess, a very special investor in more ways than one, than just the name. And we have Professor Satya Chakravarti, our own Professor Satya Chakravarti, who will join us on video. And we will, of course, have our star startups after this. Thank you very much, and have a great morning.
Thank you, Raghu, for taking us through the journey of GDC. He has been passionately driving the progress of GDC lab to market to create a big impact in the country. I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Pramod Shankar, scientist from Department of Science and Technology. Welcome, sir. So we have a fairly wonderful mix of audience today. We have research students, faculties, startups, investors, and very many more people who have association with science and research. Welcome once again to all of you. Next, we move on to the next agenda, where teams that gone through our DST program in the past 4 months, some of them have been selected to showcase their invention, how they have progressed from the time they came in, and how they want to take their idea forward post the 8 weeks of intensive learning they've gone through. Before that, I would like to invite my colleague, Mr. K.B. Anand, Chief Innovation Officer, who also is the Program Director for all these programs. And many of our teams have gone through our program, associate themselves with K.B. Anand much more than GDC per se. So I'd like to invite K.B. Anand to talk about our program in detail, then invite the teams to present their progress. Over to you, K.B.
All right. I'll just take 5 minutes to talk about the INCUBATE program. I know Raghu has already spoken about it, Krishnan has already spoken about it. But I would like to highlight a few things. There are lots of things to highlight, but a few things that truly make us and our program a game changer. So that's the theme of today's event. And just going to highlight a few things. So the background about GDC, I think Raghu has spoken, but I would like to once again highlight that the amount of money that is being spent by the government on academic research and other research institutions like CSIR and other research bodies is enormous. We know it's still less than 1% of GDP, but it is still about 0.65% of GDP. That's not a small amount of money. And, most research ends up in papers, and some of them convert to patents. So the statistic says that about 10% of all research converts to patents. And the number of entities that come and create real-world impact out of those 10% is negligible. We don't even want to talk about it. So GDC's mission is to improve the return on research investments in the country. And that's the lab to market agenda. And Raghu mentioned about why the faculty plays a key role here, because one faculty can create an impact on thousands of students. And so this is a background about GDC and GDC's mission. And the INCUBATE program itself was launched. The center started, GDC started in 2017, and we launched our first cohort in March 2018. We have completed about 28 cohorts of the INCUBATE program before we partnered with DST. And with DST, this is the 4th cohort we have completed. The 5th cohort is about to start in the next few days. So that's the background. So INCUBATE is not an academic course. Raghu mentioned about GDC not being an incubator. I'd like to highlight that INCUBATE is not an academic course. It is not a training program. So this is difficult for us. When we try to tell people what GDC does, somehow, people try to imagine us as running a course on entrepreneurship or doing some entrepreneurship training program. And best case, it's a boot camp because we say so. We keep telling our participants that INCUBATE is a boot camp. We run it in military style, and therefore it is very intensive, etc. But it is not just a boot camp. INCUBATE is truly a game changer. So I'll take a few more minutes to explain why we believe INCUBATE is a game changer. So the program is designed to be done over 8 weeks. 8 weeks is not too long, but the amount of work that startups get to do, here learning happens by doing. That's why I say startups get to do and not learn. And so in these 8 weeks, they have to meet about 100 plus people. And these people are potential customers and could be many more stakeholders, experts. And these conversations are the most difficult part of our programs. It sounds very easy. If I need to talk to 100 people, it's easy. But these are different conversations. I'll explain that a little later. And this is really, really tough. And that's what makes the startups really get clarity and evidence about why they are doing what they are doing and do they want to do it or not, right? So in every cohort, we have about 10 teams. The underlying focus of our programs, like Raghu said, we are not creating startups. We are creating founders. So the entrepreneurial mindset, the business acumen, and the communication skills, these are core in every founder. And our program has this covered, not necessarily by running workshops on communication skills or training programs on entrepreneurship skills. It is actually embedded in the way we do the program and not just the content of our program. So there are few things I want to highlight why our INCUBATE program is a game changer for deep tech startups. The number one is mindset shift, then real world validation, collaborative mentorship, and scalable impact. I'll just quickly explain what they are. The mindset shift going from a product mindset or a product first mindset to a needs first mindset. A lot of people talk about this, but it is really, really almost impossible. Our teams will talk about it, how difficult this has been, right? Because when we are excited about what we are building, when we wake up with an idea and we believe that this idea is a great idea and everybody encourages you to go ahead, the first thing that we do is build the solution or build the product. And that really is the weakest foundation of any startup, right? We ask people to fall in love with a problem and not with the solution. So the product first mindset to needs first mindset, and the researcher mindset to the entrepreneurial mindset. So these are the two big shifts that happen. And it is really like drawing kids to the kindergarten and making them sit there for a few hours, right? It's that tough. You know, we work with adults, we work with PhDs, and we work with researchers and so on, but they are like kindergarten students when it comes to the program, right? So this is the number one reason why we believe it's a game changer. Number two, real world validation. So here is what here is what we do and what makes our program unique. You know, the customer discovery terminology is being used very liberally by most of us, but I really don't know how many of us truly understand what customer discovery is. People begin their market research. A lot of teams, when they come to us, they say that they've already spoken to customers. They've already done market research. What they really mean is they've done a survey, or they have just randomly spoken to a few people, right? You will see our teams presenting and talking about this. So customer discovery is not that. It's something else, and I'm not going to explain this. You will see it when the teams present. So, intuition is okay, because generally people feel that entrepreneurs are very intuitive people. There's no disagreement about it. But delay your intuition. That's what Daniel Kahneman said. That's truly what we practice here. Intuition does not give you evidence. Intuition gives you excitement and probably a lot of motivation, but it doesn't really give you any evidence. And the reason why most startups fail, the startup failure rate is about 90%. The number one reason is because they build something that nobody wants. And that is really the crux of our program. So through this evidence-based approach, we de-risk the startups from making something that no one wants. We are not creating successful startups, but we certainly help the founders de-risk themselves even before they spend any money on building their product, testing it, and even marketing it. A lot of startups started marketing even before they really figured out who the customer is, right? So this is the number two reason why we believe it's a game changer. Number three, the mentorship in our program is very unique. We have teams that consist of faculty, the entrepreneurial leads, and the business mentors. Our business mentors are people who have vast experience. There are several of them sitting here in the audience today. And they come with real life experiences. They have built businesses, they have run businesses, they have made tough decisions. They've really seen business and life. And that's not unique because mentors are available everywhere. But what makes us unique is these mentors do not give answers to the startups. Typically, mentors come and share their learnings, and they are supposed to guide the mentees because they've been there, they've done that. But here, even though they've been there, they've done that, they are not supposed to give answers to the startups. And startups expect mentors to actually answer all their questions. It's extremely difficult for someone who's got so much experience to hold back and just keep asking the right questions. We are really proud that we've had several mentors volunteering, joining us, and today we have more than 100 mentors. And the culture of our mentorship truly is outstanding, thanks to all the mentors, right? So the faculty, the mentors, and the teams work together. Nobody gives answers. Everything is done. Our programs are not taught. We don't believe that we can teach entrepreneurship. We don't believe that we can teach customer discovery, value proposition, or MVP, anything. They truly experience it, and that's what makes our program unique. And the mentors play a very big role in that. And the last one is the impact that we have nationwide. Raghu just talked about how we have been able to scale. In just a matter of 7 years, we have scaled so much, and this is the impact that we've been able to create. 118 STEM colleges. We started at IIT Madras. This was the first cohort here, and till COVID, we probably had covered only 4 or 5 institutions, right? Maybe 4. But after COVID, when we moved our programs online, we opened it up completely. And now we do our programs in hybrid mode, and we have been able to cover 118 STEM institutions, 1,625 researchers. The numbers speak for themselves. That's the kind of impact that we've been able to have. So anyone who's considering building a business, but they do not know how to build a business, and that's really how the teams walk into our program. But they believe that they have a business idea. They believe that it has a market, and the customers are waiting. And the pains that they go through, the meanness that they experience, and the pains that they go through make them something else at the end. And I'm going to hand it over to the teams to actually talk about it, and I'm not going to elaborate this now. Thank you. That's about INCUBATE. That's why we are a game changer. So now we will start the team presentations. There are 6 teams that are going to present. And the teams have gone through the last 4 cohorts of the DST-GDC INCUBATE program. And so you will see some teams that have gone through the program and then gone beyond and have made some progress because they probably attended the first 2 cohorts. But they all finished their cohort in the last 4 to 6 months. So those are the startups that you're going to see. We have, like Raghu mentioned, we have 40 startups, but we would, we were able to bring only 6 here. And you'll get to see the flavor of all the 4 cohorts here. And the first team that I'm going to invite here is Macfly Aerospace. So, Preetham, are you here? Yeah. So while Preetham is coming up on stage, and he needs a mic. So this team is from IIT Jammu. You see 3 people on screen. Professor Shanmugadas, who was a student here at IIT Madras, who's now a professor at IIT Jammu. And then we have Ayush, who was a PhD scholar under Professor Shanmugadas, and Preetham, who's also a student of Professor Shanmugadas. Ayush and Professor Shanmugadas were supposed to be here today, but they were not able to make it. The format of these 6 presentations will be, we will start with the 2 minutes video that each startup has made. And they make a video at the end of every cohort. They make a 2 minutes video. And when they present during the closing workshop or the final day, they play the 2 minutes video, which talks about their learning, truly transformation that they have undergone, and they also have a presentation. The same format, we will follow the same format here, 2 minutes video, and for about 7 minutes or so, they will make a presentation. And then the next team will follow. So this team, as you can see, they are in the business of making unmanned combat aerial vehicles. And when they actually came into the program, they were not sure and we were not sure why they were here. Because if they are making something for the defense, why are they even here? What are they trying to figure out? Is there really any sense in doing customer discovery because they have only one customer? And but it was very interesting to see how they went through the journey and how the transformation happened. Can we switch to the video, please?
Hello everyone, we are Macfly Aerospace, a deep tech startup based at IIT Jammu. Our core focus lies in UCAVs, propulsion systems, and related aerospace technologies. We are developing next generation UCAVs, loitering munitions, and innovative solutions for defense and related sectors. When our team first arrived at GDC, we were confident that we were building a product unlike anything available in the market. We firmly believed in its unique value, necessity, and concluded that it would have an end user. In our first session, we were asked to put aside the product and to focus on understanding what customer really needs. Along with our mentor and instructor, we were onto the 8 weeks journey. Using the GDC tools, we began by organizing our market segment and started with the interviewing stakeholder in the defense. We attended various seminars and expos to connect with various decision makers and level of hierarchy. It quickly became clear that defense is a vast established field and interviewing the right people was very essential. We made 3 key discoveries that changed Macfly direction. The first was realizing that the requirement of all 3 forces differ based on geography and operational circumstances. Secondly, we discovered that even though there are many public requirements available in form of IDEX, TDF and others, defense forces are interested in co-developing a technology and product which can fit their requirement and has not been public yet. Finally, we discovered that defense is a vast organization with multiple command layers and a strict hierarchy. So successfully navigating and connecting with the right stakeholder is crucial for any technology development. The 8 weeks at GDC had been filled with excitement, valuable lessons and challenges. We came as a product-driven startup but have left as a technology co-development startup. The support and insights from GDC cohort and team have been very helpful in defining Macfly future trajectory. Lessons from the GDC cohort have become integral to how we operate, guiding our MVP development, business models, and growth plans.
Yeah, can start.
Good morning, everyone. We are Macfly Aerospace Technologies, a deep tech startup from IIT Jammu. I am Preetham, one of the co-founders of the Macfly. I would like to thank GDC providing us opportunity to present our journey here. At Macfly, we are focused in building the next generation aerospace and defense technologies. Our product includes unmanned combat aerial vehicles, loitering munitions, and related propulsion technologies. Our team members includes Dr. Shanmugha Das, Assistant Professor at IIT Jammu, Ayush Divyans, and myself, Preetham. See, current global conflicts, UCAV have played a critical role in the modern warfare. These UCAVs are being used for reconnaissance, surveillance, and aerial warfare missions, as well as the combat purpose. So, at Jammu, we have witnessed the drones. These are the drones which were during the Operation Sindoor, we could witness the number of drones from the Pakistani military deploying towards the Jammu, and our soldiers bravely neutralizing those drones using artillery and their unmanned combat counter-strike missions. So we could see that the global conflict is mostly dependent on these intelligent UCAV systems. So we are primarily focused on building 2 of such products, which is Sky Reaper, a VTOL and reusable loitering munition systems, and a Rudra, which is planned to be launched by a barrel launch munition system. Both of the systems are powered by turbojet engine. We drive ourselves to develop one of such engines. My journey started when I was in a BTech third year student. It was like I met my roommate Ayush and discussing about the global conflicts. That now in this global conflict, most of the aerial wars are based on the UCAVs and intelligent drone systems. And looking at this, India, we are lacking such drone technologies. So we thought to meet Professor Shanmugha Das and discuss about this technology. So we started with a project of developing a micro gas turbine engine. So we worked at NCCRD for an year at IIT Madras to develop the core technology. After my graduation, I was certain that I have to pursue the path, and we could gather number of interns across the India and developing and creating some efforts to develop the core technology. Meanwhile, we participated in the GDC cohort, which was I-NCUBATE cohort 2, where we assumed and came here that our primary customer is the army. But soon we realized that we don't even know our customer. Initially we planned like, okay, we'll build the solution, test in the lab, but we don't know ultimately this is the army who's going to require this thing. So we thought we'll go approach army and sell it, but it was not like that. It was very different from it. So the thing came, there are different platforms where defense sector wants their problem to be solved, such as IDEX, TDF. Such problems could be solved by startups and they could provide their solution. But the most important thing is that due to the security reasons and confidentiality, all the problems cannot be addressed openly. So we went to different expos, exhibition, interacted with the defense people in the army as well as the defense contractor. Through their customer, through their review, okay, we got that defense. Sorry. However, that not problems can be all problems cannot be published through IDEX or something, but it needs to be because of security reasons it cannot be published all. Through the detailed customer reviews, we were fortunate to meet the right person who could tell us that this is not the real problem. There are some other problem which has to be addressed on the ground. Post GDC, we continued our customer discovery and interviewing around 83 numbers of people, and we could find that the only thing which doesn't matter is the solving the problem, but also need to understand the hierarchy, which is like who is the right person, who is the decision maker, and to solve it we need to So we realized that securing a defense project should be our immediate goal, but we needed to understand how defense procurement actually works. By combining those needs, so combining with their insights and technical capabilities, we were at a better position to build something which could address their needs. Post GDC, we applied our momentum and we could submit 8 different Army Division research projects through the Air Force and their other key stakeholders, while making a strategic decision aligning with their technology and the end use. The GDC gave us the helped us in the 3 insights. First, to get the customer insights and which made us forward to moving the strategic direction towards the development path, and which gave us the confidence and clarity to build up the product. In present status, we are at the stage of securing pre-seed fund around $1 million and getting up the defense contract, and also making us a decision for joint technology development programs. So next steps are like getting the first army contract to the Northern Command, and also we would plan to expand our further technologies such as missile and power generation units, looking forward to aligning with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you change the thing, please? The next team that we are going to invite is called Cereine. And this team, you can see the description. There's Vanilla and Venkatesh that you see on screen. Both of them are present here. And they are going to be presenting their video and presentation now. When they came to the program, they actually believed that they are ready to go to market. They thought they can come to GDC and learn how to market their product because their prototype was ready. Problem was very obvious because they will talk about it. They come from the trade. They come from silkworm rearing families. So naturally they believe that everything is sorted. We know the problem. We've solved the problem. We just have to go to market. Now let's hear them and see what they have to say now. Can we have the video, please?
Hi, do you think farmers can earn a steady income every month, even more than a people in a regular jobs? What if I told you there is a way to make that possible?
Through sericulture?
Yes, sericulture can provide a consistent monthly income. But over the years, we have seen fewer farmers getting into it.
Why?
Because of recurring challenges.
We come from a family involved in silkworm rearing and silk saree weaving. We believed the biggest issue was silkworm diseases caused by fluctuating climate conditions.
So we started building a climate control shed and an IoT-based disease prediction device. We were confident that we had the answer. Then came GDC. It didn't just teach us the frameworks, it changed our mindset. Then we passed and went back to the field, this time with no product, just questions. And that's when we discovered something serious. Apart from diseases, farmers were losing entire batches without knowing why. The hidden reasons: airborne pesticide drift, affecting mulberry leaves even from farms more than a kilometer away. So we shifted our focus from silkworm shed to the mulberry farm. We built MoriShield, a device that detects chemical contamination and alerts farmers before it's too late. GDC taught us two powerful lessons. First, start with the real problems, not just your own ideas. Second, sometimes asking the right questions is the real answer. It may sound simple, but it completely changed the way we understood farmers. And most importantly, we learned that it's okay to change direction early before going too far down the wrong path. Today we are not just building technology, we are restoring the confidence in sericulture. And it all started with one important shift from assumptions to action.
Thank you to the entire GDC team. GDC didn't just refine our idea, it redefined our purpose.
Hi everyone, thank you for the opportunity. Vanilla, Venkatesh and Bhargav, co-founders of Cereine Technologies. I have taken you all to the journey of how GDC transformed the Cereine from assumptions to action and the mindset from product to the people. So we basically come from a background of silkworm rearing and silk saree weaving generations. So it's not just our business, it's our legacy. So naturally we saw the farmers are struggling with their own pain points and the problem. So we believe that we know the answer, we know the problem was the disease and the poor shed conditions. So with the strong domain knowledge and with the minimal survey and with the basic idea, we started to build a prototype for the IoT based device to predict the silkworm disease early, that is a Cereine. So what it actually does, in a silkworm shed, we are going to place the sensor. It gives a mobile alert to the farmers. The farmers will receive the warning, and based on the warning, they will take action, what they actually doing in conventional method, so that they can save the batches. So this is how we had like entire structure in our mind. And we believe the early warnings alone itself okay to the farmers to stop the crop failures. But we fail to ask ourselves the question, what if not the disease only the problem? So that's the time we entered the GDC. So before GDC we had a mindset like we started to build a prototype with assumption based, not on evidence based. And because from a strong domain knowledge we have, so we started to love the idea what we are building, the prototype, that is a Cereine and the control shed. So after enters into the GDC program, there is in-person workshop was a game changer for us, because we used to have like 30 to 40 questions in our Google sheet. We go and ask to the farmers whether do you have this problem, whether do you have this problem. So farmers used to tell, yes, we have a problem, and also we'll ask how much losses do you face. But farmers facing like very hard to consolidate the losses what they thought. Even that couldn't, the farmers don't know how the losses is happening and why the success is happening also the farmers don't know. So then the in-person workshop we learned like who will be the customer and how to ask the right questions and what is the right way to ask and the questions and how to get the problem from the farmers itself. So that's how we identified, that's the first game changer for us. And the next like the initial few weeks were confusing us because we were not able to find the real customer, because every time we used to tell all the sericulture farmers are our customers, but that's not actually happened. And what changed us, we learned to listen. We learned to observe, and that's the same strategy we put with the farmers. The farmers let the voice out, and that's the time we understood there is a huge gap between what we are building and what the farmers actually need. So again we went back to the fields, what we learned from the GDC learnings. So this time with no product in mind, initially that was very hard to get away the product in our mind. So this time we were not validating our product, we went to just for listening. So we stopped building our prototype. We visited farmers across Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra, not with only the farmers but also the stakeholders, scientists, state and the Central Silk Board peoples. Now we did only the open conversation, no product stock. That's where we realized still the farmers are practicing a best, but still they are facing failure. Like they are managing the diseases, they are maintaining the shed conditions in a hygienic way, but they are facing the failures. Because disease was not only the problem, if disease is the problem for them, they are accepting it. 30 to 50% of losses are happening because of diseases, they are accepting. Why? Because much more losses is happening at invisible. So that's where we find out the chemical contamination. So mulberry farm, near to the mulberry farm there will be a rose, jasmine or any other turmeric farm. They used to spray the pesticide. The pesticide will blow through the air and it will contaminate the mulberry leaves. If we feed the mulberry leaves to the silkworm, the entire batches got out, the farmers get only the zero profit. So, and also it directly affects the silkworm if any sheds are formed near to that pesticide drift. So that is the key learning we understood, and that is a real example of the farmer who is in Hosu. He lost 8 batches out of 12 batches because of the pesticide drift. And also while we undergoing the journey of GDC, we confirmed that the Central Silk Board also allocated the fund to identify the root cause of the chemical contamination. So that's where we got the confidence we are going in a right way. Even here the disease were not detected, but the losses are happening more and more. Near to the jasmine mulberry farm, there is a jasmine farm, they are spraying the pesticides. The mindset what we had, like predicting the disease and tell to the farmers alone is enough, but after we attend the GDC program, we identified not only the prediction but also protection is the what farmers exactly needed. Instead of we are taking a big U-turn, we did a right turn from assumptions to evidence-based protection. So the key takeaways here we have to mention is, there are more key takeaways. There is only 3 I can mention here. One is listen deeply. So in GDC program, our mentors and instructors always insisted us to do first, get out of the building. Definitely what we are seeking the problem, definitely it is not in our paper or in our pitch deck. We have to move out of the building and then we have to explore more. The second is what the assumption is not always the same in a reality. What we thought problem was a disease, that's what the farmers actually needed. But the real issue is the contamination. Now the disease is a problem, but that comes to the very low priority, the contamination comes to the high priority. And next is a problem first, next the product. What we did, we loved the product, so we started to build the prototype ready to scale, but actually when we passed, then we understood we should first do the problem and then the product next. So GDC didn't tell us like what to build, it taught us how to learn. This is the roadmap for the next year. And the vibrant team is 3 co-founders. Mahalakshmi is a structural engineer. Mr. C.J. Prabhakar is a mentor, sericulture expert, retired independent consultant from Central Silk Board. And Duraisamy is a farmer who closely working our trials. Thank you.
Thank you. next team to present is CureSure. The name of the team is CureSure. And this is an interesting story of how a clinician who strongly believed that she's solving a real problem with the researchers team and what happened during the journey. We will hear from them. They are from Sri Ramachandra Medical Institute of Medical College and Hospital. Yeah. University.
Hello everyone, meet Dr. Divya, an oral physician and maxillofacial radiologist who regularly treats patients suffering from severe oral ulcers and radiation-induced oral mucositis. She noticed a serious gap in the current treatment of a limited relief, often leading to painful treatment breaks and poor outcomes in oral cancer patients. Driven by this unmet need, Dr. Divya turned researcher. She discovered the potential of Cereine, a drug traditionally used for liver fibrosis, and repurposed it as a topical treatment for oral ulcers. Her formulation was patented and she secured an ICMR grant to develop its nano version. At this point, Sendil and I joined as research scholars and Team CureSure was born, united by a vision to take this innovation to market. Winning first prize in a startup idea competition only fueled our excitement. We enjoyed the GDC program full of hope, dreaming of launching our startup. But reality hit in week 1. GDC challenged our assumptions and reshaped our understanding of entrepreneurship. Instead of being disheartened, we shifted our focus from product first to customer first. This was the real hit. Through interviews with key stakeholders, we realized our product risked becoming just another product in a crowded market. That's when GDC's value truly sank in. It saved us from potential failure and taught us how to pursue meaningful, market-aligned innovation. Now, as Sendil embarks on a new journey, CureSure continues with Divya and me at the helm. We are actively looking to grow our team with members who share our mission. Thanks to GDC, we have been transformed not just as researchers, but as problem solvers driven by impact. Our journey isn't over. In fact, it's only just begun with greater clarity, renewed energy, and unwavering determination. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is our team. We are Team CureSure from the DST cohort 3. This is our faculty lead, Dr. Divyambika, and other team members are Anju, myself Anju, and Mr. Sendil Subramaniam. And he's our GDC mentor, Mr. Sethu Subramanian, who has guided us throughout our DST cohort and now also. So our story dates back to 2021. Dr. Divya, she's an expert clinician who found that there is a limited therapeutic efficacy in the drugs for the patients suffering from radiation-induced oral mucositis. So she found that the treatment and the available medications are not in a proper treatment, and because of that the patients were suffering from treatment breaks, compromised in nutrition and poor treatment outcomes. So she wanted to find an unique novel drug to have an efficient therapeutic efficacy for the radiation-induced oral mucositis. So she started exploring new targets and she found out that a novel drug which can be repurposed, which is called Cereine, which has a potent therapeutic efficacy, and this is how our Cereine mucoadhesive gel was born. Soon this idea started working up, and she started working and she formulated this mucoadhesive gel, and she got her first patent product grant in 2022, and parallelly she also got an ICMR grant for the nano formulation of Cereine also. Then me and Sendil joined as her PhD students, And we had this idea to start launch that into the market because we have everything. And we started presenting this idea in multiple places, and wherever we go, we were priced, we were praised, we were appreciated, and the major hit happened when we won our first Ideathon competition. So what else we want for launch a business? We have our product ready, right? So then, wow, we just have to launch it up, right? We just have to scale up the product. We will be rolling in money, and that's it. Wow, we are going to be a hit. We didn't understand this is going to be turned to be an illusion soon. So then one of our colleagues introduced us to the GDC program, the first day, the ice-breaking session. So we were called to the stage and we were asked to talk to 40 people. We started to talk in front of 40 people. And we were asked, so there was it was like a simulation where we have to talk to our imaginary customer. So we started talking with our patient. We thought that patients suffering oral ulcers were our customers, and we started talking with them. And I was nervously pitching in my product and telling that this is what you need. And the patient was not even bothered. They were like, why? Why do we need it? So I was continuously pushing them to buy that product. Get it. This is what you need. And he was like literally unbothered about what I was telling. I was literally disheartened at that point of time. And then again one more conversation. I thought like, okay, maybe the patient is not my customer. Let's talk to the pharma head. So I was talking to the simulated company, talking with the pharma head. That was also, then also the conversation went south. Wow, that's it. That day, it was the first hit, that was the first heartbreak that we suffered. And we were literally cream bound in that combination, and we had a heartbreaking session. It was not an ice-breaking session, it was a heartbreaking session. So from there, from that day, the GDC actually took us into a different path. We talked with multiple customers, like around 40 to 50 conversations we had. We talked with radiation oncologists, pharmacists, marketing managers, medical oncologists, multiple clinical trial coordinators, everybody. Each conversation actually opened our eyes. We understood that we are not looking into the real actual need there. Our product is just another product in the market. So we were not, and we were really disheartened at this point of time. But one thing was, we didn't stop there. We learned, we came back, we sat down, we discussed what we went through this whole conversations, and we understood that where we were focusing was not right. We were looking at the product. We were pushing our product into the market, telling that this is what we need. No, that was not the actual product. We wanted to look into the need. So one product, so if we are launching this product at this point of time, we will be just one product among the whole crowd. We will just another product. And there is no other pharma company launching with one product. Every pharma company have multiple products at the thing. So this will not be the, this was not the right path for us.
So the journey isn't over. Post GDC program, we realized that our Silymarin gel is probably one another product in the market and is not disruptive. But however, it can have some clinical utility. Hence, we thought of moving it forward and taking it for a technology transfer. We have in fact initiated a clinical trial as well as applied for the Nidhi Prayas grant as well. So we are still moving forward, but much more in a clearer direction as well as a focused direction. So next unexpected twist that happened was Senthil choosing to part his ways from our team. Senthil realized that entrepreneurship is not aligning with his goals of his career. So this was a valuable insight that we got from our GDC journey, because it was a realization that Senthil got it initially so that he can switch over to whatever he wanted. So that was a very, very valuable insight that we got from our GDC program. Now me and Anju are now all set. So we are now exploring the all unmet needs. And as we were exploring the unmet needs, we realized that our team was not competent enough. So we need to strengthen our core capabilities of the team. So the next new challenge that we are set with is finding out the new team members, the partners, not only with just technical background, but also with business acumen. For me personally, this journey with GDC has been truly transformational. Being a faculty at a reputed medical institution, we have the pressure of doing publications as well as from our nudges from our own incubation center to incubate the startup. But GDC gave me the clarity and the resilience. I know that definitely there is a long way to go for me to have a startup, but I definitely believe that this is possible in near future. But now that this journey is there, now we are very much focused and we know to do the right things at the right time in the right sequence. It is ironical to tell that for the past 15 years, whatever research have been done was remaining at the lab level and did not come to clinical use at all. Probably if I had known GDC 8 years earlier and if I had joined there, 8 years of my research work wouldn't have gone to a waste. So now I realize that this is no more should remain at the clinical, at the lab, at the research level, and has to come or to translate it to the clinical use. So this shift is the game changer which the GDC has brought me within. So there's a shift from a paper and a patent to a product and basically the patient. So a provider and as a clinician, I need to give some product to my patients which will be of clinical use. So thus thereby bringing a transformational potential to the industry at a large. So thus to end my presentation, I sincerely thank the team GDC for giving us such a valuable opportunity and a learning experience. It has been truly enriching, sir, for all the valuable insights that we got throughout the journey. And a special mention thanks to our KV sir. But for his mentorship, he was not an instructor for us, but he was rather a mentor for us, who was mentoring throughout the GDC program, and also even now, after the GDC program, he is supporting us, guiding us. We are grateful to you, sir, for all the renaissance that we have brought within us. So with all this enthusiasm and the energy and full determination of having a startup in near future, this is Team CureSure signing off. Thank you.
Thank you. The next team to present is Quixotics. I've still not asked them why name Quixotics, so I couldn't find a word like that. Maybe they will tell us. They are from NIT Rourkela, and we have Sasrabda, Tanmay, and Shreya here. They're making something. I'm not able to describe it fully. They will. It's supposedly a 3D printed biomaterial. Let's hear it from them.
Yes, these are all the rejections we got when we tried to raise funds. We have been pitching, thinking we had a great solution, and we just need funds to make it into a reality.
Let us now tell you our story, from confusion and rejection to clarity and progress. Dr. Devendra Verma, with his 15 years of experience in tissue engineering, led the foundation of our story in 2018 when Tanmay successfully developed a 3D printer for living cells. Then Shreya joined, developed a 3D printable biomaterials, and Sai came in later with his passion for startups. Together, we incorporated Quixotics in 2023.
Scientific literature indicated that autografts are scarce and synthetic implant placement on irregular wood is a completely difficult task. We knew the science and ideated a pen-like device to print cells directly onto the bone. No need for grafting, no worries about the placement. Bam! We were ready to pitch, just to get rejected. We realized it wasn't our pitch, but something else that was off.
That's when we joined GDC INCUBATE program, knowing they wouldn't fund us, but guide us to a pitch deck that will get us funded. At first, the assignments were confusing and overwhelming. Brainstorming sessions turned into disagreements and sometimes to cold wars. Things changed with secondary research and customer conversations with everyone involved around the surgical ecosystem.
This revealed that in India, all artificial skin implants are imported, and we assumed that they are only used in private hospitals where patient could afford it.
KV sir asked a question. If implants don't work, then who's buying them? Conversations with implant distributor completely flipped our assumptions. The biggest buyers were government hospitals and not the private ones. They handle massive volume of burn patients and are dependent on temporary solutions just to buy time to stabilize critical patients.
We found an underserved market hiding in the plain sight. Thanks to GDC and our mentor Mr. Ramaswamy sir, we are now pivoted in developing biomaterials to regenerate full thickness skin for burn tissue engineering. Yes, we still pitch, and the outcome? Let's meet in the presentation. So good morning everyone. We are team Exotics and we are from the 4th cohort. So our team consists of our faculty lead Dr. Devendra Verma and the mentor that was assigned to us during this cohort, Mr. Ramaswamy sir, and 3 of us as the entrepreneur leads, myself, Sahasrabda, then Tanmay and Shreya. So how did this all start? We started formulating a problem statement in our mind. So we found out from the data available that there are more or less 5,000 surgical procedures done regarding cosmetic surgery every month in India. About 1.6 lakh people die due to burn in India, and 22 lakh bone grafting are happening every year in India. It seemed like a very great problem to solve in our head, of course. Then that's what we did. As an academic researchers or students, we did all the research and we spent 5+ years developing something we believe would work. So what did we develop? We first thought of a handheld bioprinter. So it was very simple. We thought we can develop a pen that can draw tissues. It was as simple as that. We thought we will give doctors or surgeons a simple pen and they will draw whatever they want on a patient body. And that's how we started doing all kind of research, and then it followed with publications, more publications, and even more publications, and finally a patent. It made us really excited. We were very much happy with this result, and we thought it is something surgeons will snatch away from our hand. We just need to make it, they will come, they will take it away. We thought it was that revolutionary. And when we thought that was revolutionary, we thought of making it as a startup. And this is how our journey into a startup started. We got a lot of tractions initially, and then we went and presented everywhere, and everybody said, this is revolutionary, this is revolutionary. But what happened when we tried to get funds, we tried to pitch, it followed with rejection, rejection, more rejection, and even some rejection that are completely like this. It made us disheartened. And then we joined GDC to change our approach. It is a small trailer of how the program went. We started with all these assumptions and saying, we have the best product, we have the best product, we have the best product. And the shocker came when the GDC team told us, forget the product, think about the customer. Made us very uncomfortable, but we continued the journey. So when we started, it was very logical for us. People who have financial constraint cannot afford such advanced technologies. And then people who generally go to government hospital are the one with financial constraint. So government hospital is not the one where should we targeting. The best part, people without any financial constraint in a private hospital. And we thought it was very, very logical, only to realize how wrong we were. And the plot twist happened when we actually applied the GDC program. After application, the GDC team told us to have a lot of customer conversations and not just pitch them what we are building, but really ask them what they are doing in their real life and what their real problems are. We talked to everyone, surgeons, nurses, patient, even insurance agent. We don't know why, but when the beginning of the conversation, it felt it was not necessary, but during the conversation, it really felt what the insurance people were also doing. So we talked with everyone and we were confused like this. All these question marks were popping on our head. Why this is happening? Why is this happening? We got a lot of confusion in our head. And those confusions were cleared during the analysis session we called the office hours, when we used to talk with the mentors and the GDC instructors, and actually getting what we were getting as information, we could now analyze them and put them into a framework to what to do next. And this is one of our great aha moment. We realized our target customer is not the private hospital that we thought. It was actually government hospital. Talking to implant manufacturer told us that it was the government hospital that was buying large amount of implants and not the private hospital. That was a complete mind-blowing moment. I still can't remember how shocked we were. Then we thought we were already doing work with orthopedic implants, and we had been granted patent with orthopedic implants as well. But we realized skin substitute implant is a larger market. Actually, as we presented in the video itself, there are no skin substitute implant manufactured in India and everything is imported, and we actually found an opportunity. Apart from that, we also realized it was also fixated that the government hospitals are buying 70% of the skin implants and not the private hospital. making our earlier assumptions true. Not assumptions, it was fact based this time. And we felt like this, completely broken and disheartened. How wrong we can be, because everything was based on assumptions, not on facts. Now they were based on facts. Then something we were always ignorant about. We never read the government schemes. While reading the government scheme, we realized there are Ayushman Bharat scheme which are provided to people of economically backward sections, and they are provided free healthcare in this. So our assumption that to completely discard people who have financial constraint was quickly nullified when we went through the secondary research. And then we also found out some of the potential use cases that surgeons suggested are not something we assumed by ourselves. So that was completely changed in the mind shift, where we already thought this was how we can use our expertise, but now surgeons could say, no, this is the right way where you should be using your expertise. So what changed during this time? So now we could now funnel down. Earlier we thought every surgeon needed us, everyone will take away our product. Now we have realized that is the plastic surgeon, especially the burn specialist in the government hospital, can be somebody whose problem we could be solving. Similarly, we also realized cartilage reconstruction is a difficult task. It is a very tedious process that doctors or surgeons go through, and it is something we can actually solve because we have the expertise to build cartilage mimicking material. Our assumptions, like the way we were conformationally biased with our research, completely changed, and we realized not every surgeon, or as a matter of fact not every doctor is our customer, and we need to funnel down to target somebody we can actually help. And this time it was based on evidence, not on our assumptions like we did it earlier. So these are some of the points we actually realized. First, you cannot solve everyone's problem, and you need to actually identify the real need of the customer, then you can actually solve their problem. Also, earlier there were a lot of assumptions, and then we were building assumptions over assumptions and assumptions, but now we found fact. Maybe through research, maybe through customer conversation, but fact is necessary. Third question, and the most important question, who needs it and why? If it is not answered, then there is no point at all. And then if you ask the right questions, then only you can get the right answers. Earlier we used to give them the answer, we are building this, we are building that, you can do this, you can do that. Not even realize it's the customer need. They will tell us what really they need to do. And then we started asking the right question. So finally, what's the plan ahead from here? We will validate our target customer. Yes, we have identified some people as our target customer, but we think we need more validation to validate their exact needs. We will be adding surgeons to our team. So we realize that as we are just researchers, we do not have the expertise of a surgeon. We can build stuff, but we cannot find their actual needs. That's why we will be adding surgeons to our team, and we are in talks with that as well. We will do R&D trials and approval. Whatever materials we are building, whatever we are building now, we will be doing R&D upon that and trials and approval. But the thing is that earlier we thought we will be doing a whole lot of R&D, but now it's funneled down, it's focused on particular application for translational efficiency. Finally, when we get all these results and when we have surgeons on board, we can actually decide if we can proceed or pivot. So that's our plan. Finally, we got a selection from and that was a big happy moment for us. Thank you, GDC team, for changing our perspective from researchers to having an entrepreneurial mindset. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next team, this is a funny story that they will tell. The team's name is supposed to be Open Water, but this is a story of open water to old age people. Okay, so we will hear it from Sanjeev. I think Prabha is here, but she is not able to come up to the stage. Can you? Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Sanjeev and I'm a professor at IISc Bangalore. And I'm also the founder of OpenWater.in. When we walked into the GDC program, our initial thoughts were to use the program to improve the business of open water. But we ended up launching a completely new startup in the field of geriatrics. So how did the shift from open water to geriatrics happen? Listen to our interesting story.
At Open Water, we have a customer-facing strategic partner. and we focus on technology development. After joining GDC, we found it to be a great program to learn how to build a startup in a clear and structured way. We used this as an opportunity to explore a new parallel startup, grounded in a deep understanding of customer needs. Based on our team's strengths, we explored several markets, shortlisted 3, and found the geriatric space to be the most promising. We were once again excited by the solutions we could build in this, but during the program, we learned to focus on the customer's problem first, not just the solution. This shift in thinking is also helping us in our current startup, where we are more clear on how to create real value for our customers. In geriatrics, we learned and understood the ecosystem, and through a systematic analysis, we shifted our focus from older people to their caregivers. We are now doing a deeper dive in the assisted caregiving facilities and can foresee a very promising venture to build in this domain. It's amazing this transformation in what we achieved happened within a short span of the last 4 weeks at GDC. We are now confident about building a successful venture by getting the important basics right from the start. Thank you, GDC.
No, he has to change the.
So there's supposed to be a presentation.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here because I have a very interesting story to tell. So my name is Sanjeev, as I introduced myself, and I'm basically a semiconductor physicist, and I'm an electrical engineer. And out of passion, we created the startup Open Water to solve wastewater treatment problems in industries and in residential areas. And this is my team. I am a faculty lead, and Prabha, who's here, is the business lead, and she's the CEO of Open Water. And when we joined the GDC program, we had Mr. Nandakumaran, who's the head of ICCW, as our mentor, and we were very fortunate to have him as our mentor. So during the program, we came in as Open Water. We had won several awards. We had a lot of accomplishments. We had made several sales. We had some marquee customers. And then we had already found a strategic partner who could expand our business. And we were just a technology provider. And when we walked into the program, our initial thoughts were, okay, what else can we do? Because we have a market-facing partner in certain segments. And we thought maybe we could use this program to improve and expand on in the other segments. But then when I looked at the very first day, I think one of the other startups mentioned, we had these mock sessions where, with our product mindset on, we were trying to pitch our product and try to sell our product. So when I tried to do this with the new ideas we had, I very quickly realized that this is not going to be a very good strategy. And I found there's a lot of richness in the program because it would help us very systematically and very carefully plan and structure a business, just like how you would plan and structure an experiment. So there was a very nice methodology to this whole thing. So I had many other ideas going on in the lab, and I said, okay, Open Water is already in good hands. We have a strategic partner who's doing pretty well for us. So why not use this program to explore other opportunities using the other ideas and my other strengths? And so I decided to switch to, and I'm glad I made the switch, to using this learning to explore a new market opportunity. So the first few days were full of confusion. Okay, now all of a sudden it's not Open Water because yes, the business is doing good, everything is fine, but what else can I build? And here is where my overconfidence comes in. So when you ask a faculty what is it that you can build, they're eventually going to say I can build anything. Okay, particularly if you're an electronics engineer, electronics is very ubiquitous, and you would say that, okay, show me the field and we can go ahead and build it. But the problem here was I was still thinking as somebody who's building a product and trying to push a product out. So this was during the first few days. And one biggest mindset shift for me was to go from trying to think about what I'm building in my lab and to curb that tendency of actually building a product and trying to push a product and start talking and start listening. So I shut off the engineer inside me for some time, and we began to look at various opportunities that exist. Okay, because we are trying to do something new. We picked 3 different streams. One was farming, one was automobiles, and one was geriatrics. And when we were completely lost, our mentor kept telling us, he kept bringing us back to the drawing board and said, just stick to the process. And that's when we truly started appreciating the strength of this program, because it showed you how to very carefully and systematically construct a recipe for building a strong startup. And here we had no product to sell. So that was a very big advantage. We are starting from ground zero, and we explored various opportunities. So in fact, for the agriculture sector, I took 4 days off from IISc. I took a train to Hassan in Karnataka, where we had a lot of farms. I spent 4 days with the farmers trying to talk to them, while keeping all my product mind shut down for these 4 days. And what I realized was that engineering may not be what is needed to solve these problems. Okay, at least those 4 days taught me that. There's plenty to do, but these are not the top priorities of farmers. So then we came back, and we were still a little puzzled. And when we had these office hours, in one of the office hours, we were talking to our mentors and the GDC instructors, and we asked them, what do we do? Because we can see a few problems in the agricultural sector, we can see a few problems in the automobile sector, and we also have spoken to a few people in the geriatric sector. And that's when Mr. K.V. Anand, in fact, told us, look for the sector that's growing the fastest. And this was a very big aha moment for us. And when you looked at these 3 sectors, we found that geriatrics seemed to shine out, and there seems to be something very interesting that's going on here. And we began to focus. We were almost into the 3rd week of the program, and we began to focus on the geriatric segment. So what do you mean by geriatrics? Okay, when you say geriatrics, it's once again very vast. You have old people, you have people looking after them, you have family members looking after them, you have these hospitals which are geriatric centers. So where do we go? So we had a lot of homework to do. We definitely identified that it was a very rapidly growing segment, because as a person ages, their condition gets worse and worse. And we are now not talking about somebody who's going to, this condition is not going to persist for 5 years or 10 years, it's about 30 years. And this is going to put a huge strain not only on the geriatric himself, but also on the ecosystem in which he survives, right? The people looking after him. So that was something that we identified. And after talking to some old people, we realized that the most important things for them were independence, dignity, and continuing their social life, etc. And one factor that really would affect all of this would be something that would make them immobile. And one factor that constantly kept coming out was a fear of fall. And this became a very important underlying fear. And we decided, okay, let's focus on fall. Okay, and what are we going to do about fall? So when we spoke to people, what are the remedies or what are the methods to prevent fall? One thing that clearly came out was the geriatrics do not care much about devices. They are for various reasons. For some of them, it's an image problem. They do not want to be seen carrying a walking stick. For some of them, they do not like technology. They just find it there's too much of hassle in maintaining a gadget or searching for a gadget or charging a gadget. So for some of them, it's too expensive. So they just want to go about their life in a most unchanged manner and not worry about losing their independence. So this was too scattered. When we talked about 30 to 40 geriatrics, it was too scattered. So we decided to shift from speaking to the geriatric and start looking at the caregiver. So this was another aha moment for us. And when we started looking at the sector that looks after geriatrics, we found a lot of underlying similarities. There were more patterns developing. And through many conversations, we became very confident that this is definitely the segment or the part of the geriatric sector that needs to be addressed. And that's the journey. So we came in as open water. We realized that open water is in very good hands, or it will do well. Hope my words come true. And we said the GDC program is very rich. Why not use it to build something new? And we picked geriatrics, and we started focusing on the caregiver, most particularly the assisted living center, which actually looks after the geriatrics. And we built a lot of data. We sort of made all the research that we did very systematic, all the conversations that we had very systematic, and we are going to keep refining this and identifying the actual, we're going to focus on the actual need and try to build for that. And this is our vision. We want to become the domain experts in geriatrics. We have already built in a lot of partners who are already established players in the geriatric sector. Many of the hospitals, the directors of the hospitals are, etc., very interested in working with IISc and my lab to make this happen. And we're looking forward to a very exciting journey. But what's come out even better is I've begun, my mother is very fond of me now. I've started attending all the wedding events. I'm socializing with her friends. But of course, there is a very big hidden motive. But it's been a great experience. So I want to thank GDC. I want to thank all the mentors and Mr. Nandakumar for taking time out with us.
Thank you. All right, the next team and the last team that will be presenting, the name of the team is BioPack Labs, right? And they don't call themselves BioPack Labs anymore. They call themselves something else, and I don't want to steal the thunder. And this is a team from IIT Madras. Professor Ederaja and Thiru and Soumya, they are the team members. Can we have the video, please?
Hello everyone, we are Team BioPack Labs. We work on developing biodegradable solutions to replace single-use plastic covers and containers.
Plastic pollution is no longer just an environmental issue, it's a serious health concern. Our goal is to create safe and sustainable packaging materials. Over the past 3 years, we have been working in this area of research. So we decided to pursue our entrepreneurship journey in this segment with our interdisciplinary team.
Before we stepped in, we wanted to understand market needs and commercial potential to make informed and strategic decisions, and hence we joined GDC INCUBATE program.
Our initial interaction with the GDC team was not easy, and they told us it would stay that way. We entered the program with great confidence in our product, only to be told, forget the product. It didn't make sense at first. During the in-person workshop, we disagreed with much of what was taught. After all, industry leaders had already validated our idea. Things started to change when we were asked to validate our idea by ourselves using tools like Market Opportunity Navigator and Attractiveness Map and so on. Suddenly, everything started making sense. But still, we were not very much convinced. We started with biodegradable single-use plastic alternatives and initiated the customer discovery at an open house event and received overwhelming interest from industries. Feeling very confident, we approached our GDC mentor and instructor only to realize we had done a biased sampling. One customer was even ready to place an order, but further validation as instructed by our mentor and instructor revealed a major roadblock. A regulatory amendment was required for its use. This made us realize that the gold mine we actually saw was a questionable opportunity due to market complexities and competition. Rather than seeing this as a setback, our mentor, Mr. Sriram, and instructor, Mr. K.V. Anand, helped us to understand that a sustainable business must align expertise with real market needs. With this learning, we pivoted to biodegradable takeaway containers. Our market research and validation confirmed that businesses wanted biodegradable solutions, but existing products fell short. This proved that the need is real, and we are excited to further explore this segment. As we embark on our entrepreneurial journey, we are prepared to pivot when needed, using the skills and resilience instilled by GDC. A heartfelt thanks to our mentor, Mr. Sriram, and our instructor, Mr. K.V. Anand, and the entire GDC team for equipping us with the right mindset and tools for success.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank the Department of Science and Technology and the GDC for giving us this opportunity to not just present our work in front of this esteemed audience, but also a dedicated stall to showcase our products. Let me briefly introduce my team. I am Commander Thirumal Valavan. I am an engineering graduate from Coimbatore Institute of Technology. I have over 20 years of experience in the Indian Navy and I am about to hang my boots. And I will be the CEO of the company and the co-founder. Joining me is Dr. Sri Soumya. She is a food tech expert with over 5 years of research experience. She has published multiple papers and has 3 patents to her credit. She is going to be our head of research and development. And the backbone of our technology is Professor Ideraja Mani. After completing his post-graduation from University of Amsterdam, he joined as faculty in IIT Madras. He is a passionate teacher and a distinguished researcher in the field of chemical engineering. He is also the co-founder and director of our company. When we joined the cohort, we were Team Biopax. And today I am going to take you through the journey of how the various challenges and transformation we went through during this program. Plastics, they are incredible. They are strong, they are versatile and cheap. Yet, after single use, they end up filling our landfills and choking our oceans and spoiling our environment for thousands of years. This contradiction of great utility and a devastating aftermath is what drove us to act. So, our mission is very simple. We want to develop a biodegradable and sustainable packaging material to replace conventional plastics. We had like any other startup, we had a very confident beginning. We had a patent in our name. We had the technical expertise. And we also strongly believe that if you can pitch it right, anything and everything can be sold. So our solution, a single-use biodegradable plastic bag. And we thought we also had the perfect timing because sustainability was trending and government bans on plastic is inevitable. Success felt guaranteed. But here is the big twist. Everything we know about startup, customer, or even sustainability was challenged here during the program. They made us reshape our thoughts, and that is how we kicked off things here. Like most of the cohorts here, every team would have come with the idea first mindset, and we were building on that. We were pushing for a product which we thought is really important. In fact, even before applying for the GDC INCUBATE program, they asked us what is the patent you have and what TRL level you are in. But from the first day till last day of our program, they kept reiterating this particular thing, and they want us to be drilled in our head deeper, and that is forget your product. This was shocking to us. They substantiated this claim with the live world examples. Juicero is a $400 juice maker, and Tata Nano is the cheapest car for every home. They are brilliant ideas, well funded and backed by experts, yet they terribly failed in the market. Why? Because they solved a problem which truly did not exist. So our instructors kept telling us, are you really solving a problem which people feel, or you are just in love with your idea? This forced us to rethink. We hesitated at first. No, sustainability is different. We are thankful for having to put up a stall during the open house in Jan 2025. You know, customers flooded our shop. They loved our product. They said, oh, biodegradable packaging is a wonderful idea. Where can we buy it? You know, we were thrilled. And we are also happy that we proved our mentors wrong. You know, people do care for sustainability. But when we looked at the audience, who are they? They are students, they are eco-conscious individuals, or a person who loves the idea of sustainability but not necessarily a buying customer. We have fallen for the classic startup trap of biased audience, which does not mean a real market exists. Then the next reality check came when a major milk manufacturer came to us and said, I want 600 tons of packaging every month. I'm ready to place order. Can you do it for me? We were thrilled, our dream opportunity. We went to our instructor during our OH and he asked one simple question. If this is such a big problem or great idea, why hasn't any other milk manufacturer shifted to this yet? You know, that single question changed everything. When we did a deeper research, we found that milk packaging in the country is highly standardized. They permit only virgin plastic to maintain the safety and shelf life of the milk. So this is another aha moment for us because customers can come to us and ask for products without knowing the constraint. So as a founder, it is your responsibility to validate the requirement and not build the product blindly. We hit a pause now. We said, okay, enough of pushing our product, let us listen to customers. So we approached various customer segments. We went into the pharmaceutical, we went into the hotel, restaurants, cafes, e-commerce platforms, retail outlets, and even plastic container manufacturer. And what we found, after 3 weeks of conducting various customer interviews and validating the experiments, we found 2 key areas which we had to progress. The food containers and the textile bags for clothing brands. So this GDC program gave us a lot of key takeaways and I wanted to showcase a few of them. Startups are not smaller version of big companies because big companies have got a greatest asset, they got customers, startups don't have. And similarly, big companies can afford for multiple failures, but startups, every failure is going to be an enormously expensive because of the limited resources we have. And customers don't know the solution, it is a myth. Customers know what they want, but they don't know how to describe it. A classic example is iPod. People wanted music in their pocket, but they did not want it an iPod. iPod is just an aftermath or an innovation because of that particular need. Today is nice to have can be the most essential part tomorrow. So customer surveys, we were strictly told go by customer survey and we found it, we had the first hand experience of it. Because before we delve into our product, we read a lot of customer survey reports and we thought, you know, our product is going to be the next big thing. But when you actually sit in front of a customer, interact with them and ask his need, you get really a great insight. And finally, people say many things, but they will not do. People will say, oh, I wanted sustainable products, but when we tell them about the cost, then they back out. So it is our responsibility as a founder that we had to validate with real evidence. After GDC INCUBATE program, we expanded our horizon and we went further, extended our customer discovery, but at the same time, we continuously worked on our research labs. One day, an important article pertaining to us was published in the Hindu. And suddenly, we received tons of calls from various industries. And there were questions which we have not even imagined. So, but while attending to various calls, some pattern emerged. People were telling why you are replacing a single-use plastic. Can you look at something which is more durable and which is more efficient? So that made us to pivot. And that forced us to go to the new territory of durable plastics. So we started off as BioPack. We had a plastic bag which is 100% biodegradable, and then we thought we are going to attend to the complete packaging industry. But when we further do a lot of customer discovery and when we actually went, who's the first person who's going to adopt, where the mandate is there for them to shift to sustainability, then we found durable plastic is the go-to thing. And that is the reason for us to christen our company as Crosslinks. Today, I'm also very happy that last week we got an approval from the IIT incubation committee to the application which we have submitted. So what we are looking at in the future, we have set a very fast pace of making our MVP in 18 months, and we just don't want to build a product but build a category and be a unicorn in that category. So we are here to create materials that don't just perform but they also protect our planet. So after 8 weeks of GDC program, what is that one thing which I am leaving with, or the entire cohorts who have gone till now leave, what is the takeaway? Is this: it's the market and not the product that decides success. So we came to the GDC program with the product, but we are leaving with a process of listening, customer discovery, and iterating. So startups, they need to adapt, validate, and keep learning. Thank you, GDC, for giving us this wonderful opportunity, and I hope they will continue to give our guidance for our startup Crosslinks. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Subbu, over to you.
Thank you, KV Anand and all the 6 teams. Indeed, fantastic presentations. I think they deserved a much bigger round of applause from you all. As you can see, the teams have come from far away, IIT Jammu to NIT Roorkela to Indian Institute of Science Bangalore to Ramachandra Medical Universities to our own IIT Madras. And see the spread of innovation they're talking about. They're talking about engineering, they talked about assistive living, they're talking about biomedical engineering, you name it. GDC is sector agnostic. We are able to take any idea that comes in from STEM universities and we help them to navigate through their early process of entrepreneurship and customer discovery. The key learning coming out from all the 6 teams is quite distinctive. Every one of them mentioned that they came with a great product idea. They thought that they had a winner. They'll be able to straight away start the business and customers are queuing up to buy their products. But to their discovery, they completely realized that starting the product is not the great idea, and then learned that market is more important. And they have been brutally honest in accepting that this mistake they learned, and they went through a serious catharsis initially after the first week or so, and then they had the courage enough to go back to the drawing boards and rebuild their idea to build a robust startup. Indeed, fabulous learning by all these 6 teams, and these 6 teams have come forward to put up a stall outside, and post our break, post lunch, you will have enough time to interact with them, engage with them, to learn more about their ideas and how they plan to take the business forward. Indeed, a wonderful effort by all the 6 teams. They have gone through tremendous amount of learning, and congratulations to you all, and best wishes for you to take your idea forward. Next, we move on to a key important address. IIT Madras has been in the forefront of innovation, entrepreneurship, and has been in the news. And I'd been traveling to multiple academic institutions and incubators. Everybody keeps asking, what is that you people eat and drink in IIT Madras to make it so big, so popular in terms of your achievements? I've been telling them that it's the leadership and visionary leadership that has been taking the institution to such high levels. And we have in that leading age of visionary leaders, Professor V. Kamakoti, Director of IIT Madras, and I have a great pleasure in welcoming him to address this audience. Just to give a couple of anecdotes about his vision, I was also part of this industrial consultancy, and this particular organization sponsored research where I was helping them in commercializing IPs. Professor Kamakoti was the associate dean at this point in time, and we are publishing close to about 125 IPs every year. He came and said that, suppose we want to do at least 1 IP per day. 365 IP is my dream. I was wondering, where are we? 125 to 365 is a fantastic jump, but is it possible? But thanks to his vision and drive, IIT Madras is able to cross that number. Today we are 400 plus IPs per year and marching ahead. Second important initiative which he dreamt of is that can we increase the number of startups coming out of IIT Madras staple? Can we look at 100 startups coming out of the entire ecosystem? And that happened in the last financial year. We crossed about 102 startups coming out of last financial year alone. So that clearly shows that the visionary leadership and a purpose-driven team can really achieve magic. And here I am, great pleasure to invite Professor Kamagoti to talk to the audience over here. Professor Kamagoti.
Thank you, friends. I'm very happy that TTJ hall is full. It's always very happy to see a full hall here. Of course, TTJ is our alumni. He's a distinguished alumnus of IIT Madras and probably the most eldest entrepreneur that IIT Madras has produced. So we started this journey several decades before. We have been having multiple entrepreneurs. And some very interesting thing that I used to basically motivate the children here to take up entrepreneurship as a journey. Last year we made around 350 crores of alumni funding. Out of it, 320 crores actually came from entrepreneurs. Right? While earning salary, I don't think we can give anything back to the institute. But with if you really want to give something back to the institute, you must. And deep tech is extremely important here. So one of our, he actually incidentally finished his MTech in 1970 when I was 2 years old. And he came back and gave us stocks worth around 230 crores. And if things go well, I'm praying Goddess Lakshmi, when it actually goes IPO, we may close that at 600 crores. Right? And this actually, he is a mechanical engineer, aerospace engineer, and he continued to be in the same stream, not switched to high frequency trading after. So these are two important points I always tell the kids, that deep core, deep tech is extremely important today. Now, fortunately for me as an academician, Operation Sindoor actually has turned out to be a very interesting case study. We just look at Operation Sindoor. There was precision, a lot of precision, thousands of kilometers with 5-meter precision. We were able to specifically hit targets. And that has been very important as a country. We also did a responsible war. We did not want to harm any civilian who is not needling our country. We want to exactly hit those people who are needling our country. And that precision helped. So if you actually very carefully map some of the operations that have happened in Operation Sindoor, it covers multiple domains, at least 6 to 7 engineering disciplines I could actually very easily map. And and all are deep tech innovations. COVID is an excellent example of how bioscience has really come up. It was not just about the vaccine, but also about ventilators, homegrown ventilators, even homegrown masks, face masks, etc. And then we had Twesta, one of our startup modular housing, which actually made 3,000 beds within a record of one month or so, right? So where thousands of patients got saved. I think deep core technology, more than AI, ML and computer science, actually is extremely important. And that is what we are focusing at IIT Madras. As Subbu said, I strongly believed that we have around 12,000 students, and we are just looking at 3% of that student to make an idea. Will not 3% of our students get an idea every year? Was the question. And that's where we pitched in very strongly on the Patent A Day. We called it PADS, Patent A Day scheme. And so last but one financial year, we had 386. Last year we did 4. So if we say 1 year a fluke that we can say, but second year we made it 417. And this year already, ICSR, the second floor here, they had told me that we have crossed more than 1.2 patents a day. We're already 190 plus from April 1 to July. So I think this is something very, very important. Viksit Bharat 2047, as envisaged by our Honorable Prime Minister, must be a patent nation, must be a startup nation. Friends, if you just look at your mobile phone, 80,000 rupees you pay for your iPhone 6 or whatever, 7, 8, 9. And more than 20,000 rupees of that, around 20% of it goes as royalty. And that royalty goes because there are standard essential patents. You make that patent and make it as a part of the standard, do nothing, sit at your office, you churn out money. So there is the importance of evolving standards in the country and having our patent inside that. Okay? So this is the next trend. So now we are doing deep tech patents. These patents are not very simple ones. No, it's not just, see, there was a company which actually patented double click in the mouse. No, we don't do such nonsense. Okay, we do really big sense here. Okay, none of us here in this hall. And these patents are also giving us societal benefits. For example, last week in the same auditorium, we unveiled this YD, which is a lightweight wheelchair. Today, wheelchair has these problems, right? One, it is 20 kg in weight. The moment you sit on it, you feel like you are a patient. And it's so large in size that you can't enter small washrooms, etc. So what we have done is actually a marvel between metallurgy and mechanical engineering and engineering design. We got a carbon fiber plus aluminum composite and reduced the weight from 20 kgs to 8.5 kgs. That's the biggest advantage there. And that whole chair looks so nice that I want to sit and go, right? Though I have 2 legs here, but I want to really sit and go. It's so nice, and you can connect it to your scooter and it can be attached. It's something that I have pride, and it's so small in size that it can enter any washrooms, etc. More than that, the same thing if I import, these chairs are available across the world, not in India. If I import, it is 2,40,000 rupees. The cost of this with some reasonable profit is 75,000 rupees. So this is the cost reduction that we bought. The same thing now we have to do in multiple things. And first hit would be medical technologies. Second hit should be sustainability. Of course, medicine comes as SDG 3, I think, where you have to give quality, affordable, accessible healthcare for all. But then I'm very happy to see the previous IIT Madras team now presenting about this biodegradable one-time use plastic. So we have a lot of commitments to the Sustainable Development Goal, and we have to start looking at it. So I'm very happy. After these patents, we thought, what next? And that point, we said, okay, these patents cannot be just like dolls in a shop, right? So we need to make money. We made social sense. One big big change I see, big difference I see from the other developed world and India. You go to my kid at C5. It is run 24/7, the Center for Innovation. I suggest that all of you take some time off to go and see the Center for Innovation. It's run by the student, for the student, to the student, everything there. When I go night 9 or 10, when I go home late, I just want to energize myself, so I go there. And all these kids start saying, why are you here? So they, right? So it's completely run by them. And see, the main thing that we see here is, if you go and ask a developed country, they ask about revenue, product, they talk everything about Lakshmi. When we go to our startup, go to any of our children here, they start about social benefit. What will happen to the startup? What will happen to the society? How will I make the life easy for people to live through my product? I think that's the fundamental difference which every Bharat startup has. And I think that is what is going to take our country. I believe that the product nation, the standards nation, the patent nation that we are going to see in 2047, this is going to be the unique distinguishing factor. Friends, we are now opening up our incubation cell. This year we had 103 startups that we had incubated. More than 50% are from outside. So our motto today is IITM for all. We are a taxpayers, we are an institution run by taxpayers' money, and we are committed to the entire nations. So in Tamil we say Anaivarukkum IIT Madras. So We have our courses open. We have 38,000 plus in our BS online, and many of those students are incubating startups, right? So with this current admission, I have another folium sensing guy coming here. Welcome. So 42,000, 43,000 students will be there. And friends, more than 6,000 of them are below poverty line, 1 lakh per annum, less than 1 lakh per annum family income. And this is how we are now spreading our education, and the same thing we want to do for startups. So we welcome any startup across India who wants to come and take benefit out of us. We have institutionalized, I must say, I'm very proud to tell you that we have institutionalized the way a startup should be grown. We have an entrepreneurship cell. You go with an idea, they will try to make a patent out of it. With the MVP, idea for an MVP. We have some of the best AI-enabled patent search engines in IIT. So this will tell you, it will compare with other patents across the world and tell you where we stand. Then we have the Center for Innovation, Sudha Shankar Block. It's very well funded. And then above that there is Nirman, which is, So we have Nirman, which is a pre-incubator. And there are many stages there. There is LKG, UKG, like that. We have Pratham and other things. And then after Nirman, we have the Mother Incubation Cell of IIT Madras. And we have a lot of domain-specific incubators. And again, thanks to DST, Pramod is here representing DST. We have the Pravartak, which is for the cyber physical system, completely funded by DST. DST has invested around 170 crores. We also got the last installment, Pramod. So 170 crores for that, and we are growing now. The incubator itself now has made more than 450 crores. And it's a very nice lubrication funding that DST has provided. The next one is on, we have Samgya C.IIT Madras, Samgya Technology. It's again the National Quantum Mission, and again funded by DST. We have already received 100 crores there. We are now, last year we found 2 quantum companies coming up in quantum communication. We have 4 such hubs in the country, spread across metrology, quantum communication, quantum computing, and quantum materials. And I think that is also growing. So these are 2 DST major initiatives where, again, thank you very much for this. Please convey to Abhay my heartfelt thanks for that. And then we have a fintech incubator. We are starting a sustainability incubator. Friends, we are taking 100 acres plot at Auroville, and that will be a sustainability campus where we are going to work on all the sustainable goals, development goals 1 to 17. Then we have a bio incubator, we have a rural technology business incubator, fintech incubator that we are going to start. So all these incubators and health technology, innovation center. So very domain specific incubators which nurtures, which gives you platform. And what do we do as a part of incubation? It's not just we help you make a website, follow all the MCA rules, which is again very lot of rules, and then see your finances, etc. Introduce you to investors. Of course, we have very good investors here. I hope you go back giving more money to some of these startups. But very importantly, we create platforms that can be used by these to accelerate their product development, and that is very, very important. So, for example, in the area of semiconductors, in Pravartak, we have set up a complete CAD tool repository and a complete IP repository. IPs can be, we have negotiated with some of the IP vendors to give the IPs for these startups at 30% of the original cost, 70% discount. And the tools are now made available to them at a return of equity, right? Equity, you don't spend money. There will be no cash flow, right? And then we also have given a lot of manpower support. Just to hire a verification engineer at semiconductors is going to cost you several lakhs of rupees. So we have now got that in place. So this type of support we extend, and we see the startups immediately growing. This acceleration is possible, and that's also a role of an incubator. So we are redefining what an incubator must do in terms of technical support, and we leverage the complete knowledge base that IIT Madras has through their faculty to nurture this and take it forward. So we are very very confident that this 100 startup shatam that we started, 100 startups this year, will go to 200, 300, 500. I'm sure we will go. And we also very happy that one of our incubator startup guys who are running scooters in our campus here, they became IPO. The first IPO we saw after 13 years. But by 2032, my statistics, I've been very successful with numbers. We said patent a day, it's going more than that. Startup Shatam it is. So I just want to make this. By 2032, we'll have 1,000 startups if things go. This year also, we are already crossed 75. I think we'll grow much more than 100 this financial year. 1,000 startups we have. I think one IPO a month is not a distant dream. I think we must start working at it, and we must push for it. These are all lofty goals. When I actually, myself and Subbu used to always, these are all lofty goals. I don't know whether it will be achieved. I said, let us start with a joke and let it become a serious joke and then a reality. I think it's happening, and let us do this. So thank you very much, and keep coming here. IIT Madras is open, and we will try to see how we build this nation. We want more employers than employees. Yesterday in the orientation for my young children, BTechs, I said, I don't want IIT Madras students to seek a job. They should give a job. I think let us go in that direction. Thank you very much.
Professor Kamakati, thank you so much for your address. As I mentioned earlier, based on my several feedbacks in multiple academic institutions, I've been asking what is that's going great. I think it's setting up a vision by the leaders and then creating that favorable environment for the intellect to prosper. That is very, very clearly seen in this institution where the adequate environment has been created and you see the intellect really evolving and achieving bigger things in their life. I think as a leader, I think creating this environment becomes extremely important to ensure that the talent in the country, which is quite deep. And I was very much impressed when I traveled to IIT Patna, to IISER Bhopal. These type of locations, the knowledge capital is fabulous, and the youngsters are able to think much more bigger and then take the challenge to take their idea forward. I think as a country, we are in a great shape as far as the intellectual capital is concerned. Only required is providing the adequate environment for these things to blossom. Thank you very much, Professor Kamakati, for your time and address to this audience. We take a break now, but I would like to request Professor Kamakati to stay back for a few more minutes to inaugurate our exhibition. We have the teams who presented early in the morning have put up a stalls over here. There will be a formal inauguration followed by a tea break. I request all of you to come back in 15 minutes time as we have more interesting sessions post the break. Thank you.
From plastics. All the best.
Little more, sir, please, sir.
We are now repurposing a drug which is being used for liver fibrosis for topical application. So this probably may think that the patients will complete their treatment on time. Thereby leading to better survival rate for the patients also. Eliminate the entire radiation of business. So the entire all the cancers seen as a radiation. We have still not incubated, so we have our own incubations at our state. But we have still
We'll take a minute or two to get some more people back into the auditorium. Please quickly settle down the seats. Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the sessions now. Please settle down quickly so that we can start the next session. So I have a great pleasure to invite Dr. Pramod Shankar from Department of Science and Technology. He is a scientist D associated with Nidhi Prayas and Nidhi AAR programs with the DST. He has been with the DST for more than a decade now, 12 plus years. He has been engaged with many programs of DST. He holds a PhD from IIT Delhi in the area of wearable electronics. And I remember more than a year back when we had an opportunity to host Dr. Pramod to our office, the idea of DST collaborating with the GDC to create the INCUBATE program started at that point in time. And subsequently, we had an opportunity to present what we can do to the Secretary DST in their office in Delhi. I'm quite happy to say that things have moved quite very well, and we are well into the fourth cohort, and we'll be moving many cohorts, and you have seen the impact of the team's learning going through our cohorts. And I have a great pleasure to invite Dr. Pramod to share his thoughts from the DSP perspective. Dr. Pramod, welcome him with a round of applause, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Kamagodi sir, who inaugurate the conference, and Raghuttama Rao sir and Professor Krishna Balasubramaniam. It is an honor to be here today in the special seminar celebrating the remarkable journey of DST-GDC I-NCUBATE program. I convey my sincere thanks and congratulations to all the participants, mentors and GDC team for successfully completing the 4 transformative cohorts of these pioneering initiatives. At the time when the deep tech startups are increasingly recognized as the engines of India's science-led economic growth, the program like DST-GDC I-NCUBATE program is most important and a fundamental role in bridging the gap between the academic research and market-ready innovations. So when we start this program, when we discuss this program, actually we know that evidence-based research, we have had a lot of evidence-based research in scientific research, R&D. Now the concept was very new when Professor Krishna told us that evidence-based market-driven entrepreneurship. Then we have a lot of brainstorming sessions, and Secretary DST as suggested, we had a brainstorming meeting, and then we designed this program. And we, for last 8 weeks, I think the duration is 8 weeks. So this is not just launching the startup, it is changing the mindset. Over 8 intensive weeks, each team that participates in this program undergoes critical self-evaluation and customer validation. And then when we discuss this program, the critical self-evaluation and validation, that part we were having some doubts, but then I think I have again thanked to GDC team. They have formulated the program in such a way, the excellent presentation we have seen from the startups, and it has become a national platform for the deep tech startups to find the customer discovery or validation, and from there, it's like a listening, changing. The startups start listening from GDC program, and they change their mindset. What they initially thought it is their solution for the market, or whatever their product is the need of market or society, they slowly start changing. And it's a wonderful program. And from the Department of Science and Technology, we always support this kind of program. It's not end of this GDC program for the participants. We are just starting for building this ecosystem. And Department of Science and Technology have many funding programs. You can follow it up with our schemes, where it is Nidhi Prayas, seed funding, or fellowship, EIR fellowship for individual innovators or students. So this is just a beginning of our deep tech journey. And the word itself, deep tech itself, has a lot of complications. So don't leave your idea. Even if there is a need of change, be very patient, and success will be with you. And Government of India has now a lot of schemes for deep techs. Let's explore together with GDC team. And thank you so much. And I don't want to take much time. And we always will be there to support S&D-based startups from the Department of Science and Technology. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for designing a smart program. And we look forward for the next rounds of cohort and more customer discovery exercise. Thank you so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod. I think DST has been a great support for deep tech science-based startups to evolve. We really appreciate the type of enabling environment DST has been providing. I'm sure in the years to come by, we'll see more and more science-based graduates looking at entrepreneurship as a career rather than looking for a job, as mentioned by Professor Kamakoti a little earlier. We now have the chief guest address for the day. We have with us Mr. Ramesh Mangaleshwaran, who is currently an adjunct professor of practice at Desai Sethi School of Entrepreneurship at IIT Bombay. He is also an emeritus partner at McKinsey & Company. Ramesh has had an illustrious career in the academics from undergrad from IIT Bombay, then an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, and served for more than 3 decades with McKinsey India in multiple verticals. He created the Chennai and Bangalore offices of McKinsey. He continues to advise many organizations as member of the board. We're indeed extremely fortunate to have him today to address the audience. May I request all of you to put your hands to welcome Mr. Ramesh Mangaleshwaran to give his keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you all for having me. I was wondering why I was invited. Finally, I figured that Raghu ran out of somebody and then decided to call me a week ago. But that's okay. You can always do these for good friends. But let me try and say a few things that I've been reflecting on. This is a topic of great interest to me, entrepreneurship, particularly tech-backed entrepreneurship. Like Subbu mentioned, I spent 30 years in McKinsey, so I've seen life from the other side, if you will. I've seen life from the large corporate side, and therefore, a lot of what I'm doing in my post-McKinsey life, which is now in its 3rd year, is I'm trying to see life from 2 other lenses that I hadn't seen before. That of an academic institution, and I'm involved in both the academic institutions that I'm an alma mater of, IIT Bombay and IIM Ahmedabad, and entrepreneurship. So I would like to talk about 3 things. If any of you have interacted with McKinsey, we always say things in 3s. That's a occupational hazard that we all have. First is, there can't be a better time than now. Okay, there can't be a better time than now, because it's a little bit like, I had a friend in LA. I said, why do you guys have forest fires? He says, too many things happen at the same time that causes a forest fire in LA. Okay, one is we've had a cold winter that results in a lot of dew. Then we've had a dry spring. Then we have lots of winds, and then someone sets off a spark. Okay, and then all of the city. So I'm just saying that there can't be a better time than now, because I'm seeing lots of things happening together. First and foremost is India's time has come, okay? No matter what you read, no matter what leaning you have, countries go through this phase only once in their lifetime. It's a little bit like growing up spurt, okay? This happened with Britain when the Industrial Revolution happened. It happened with Germany, you would argue, between the wars. It happened with Japan just after the war. It happened with Korea in the 70s. It happened with China in the 80s. And this is just, there will be a time in a country's evolution when its time comes. So India's time has come, okay? We don't know when we'll get there. We don't know whether we'll get to 40 trillion or we'll get to 30 trillion, but the direction of travel is clear. And the direction of travel is not 3.5% growth, okay? 3.5%, we were all, by the way, the school that I went to and all, we were made to believe that 3.5% growth is a mathematically calculated number for countries like India, okay? And we are now at a 5-6% growth. And that's important, by the way. A rising tide lifts all boats. So, first of all, there can't be a more conducive macroeconomic context than now. And this is not for now, it is for the next, I would argue, for the next 15, 20 years. So this generation of people who are sitting in the room are going to benefit from it, just as how the Americans benefited in the 2000s. We are here to benefit. Second is, I think that the nature of academic institutions is shifting. I'm a product of IIT. I kept saying that in the 80s, academic institutions had only one product, that was graduates, okay? And IITs were in the business of creating these products for the international market, not for the local market. So you've seen all this criticism of IIT engineers saying they all, the jokes we heard was that on the day they join IIT, their minds go to the US. 4 years later, the body follows. All of that was how it was in the 80s and 90s. So the first phase of academic institutions was purely about creating people for the job market. The second phase of academic institutions overlaid research on it. So there was, okay, we are doing it. They scaled up PhD programs. The year I finished IIT, there were 20 people who finished PhD. Last year, IIT Bombay graduated 300 PhDs. So this scaled up research, faculty got more driven by research. And I think our academic institutions are getting to a third phase now, which is translation. So they moved from academics to academics plus research to academics plus research to translation. And the translation journey begins where the research journey ends. The research journey ends with sort of publishing a paper, going to a good conference, all of that. But that's really where the translation journey begins. And we've been hearing a lot today about translation. I think the GDC folks make it very clear that throw away the product, don't think because the product, start with the market, all of that. So I think and academic institutions matter, okay? Everyone talks about Silicon Valley, but Silicon Valley at the end of the day happened there, not because of the good weather in California, but because Stanford and Berkeley existed. Everyone talks about the genomic valley around Boston. It happened there because MIT existed. Everyone talks about how Israel, a country that has enough issues, is an innovator because of Tel Aviv University. People don't talk that much about Chinese universities, but China has been pursuing a breakthrough research program for three decades now. So academic institutions actually play a very, very important role in the center of this ecosystem. And so that's the second thing, that academic institutions have come of age. Third is, I think government policy is very supportive. I think we've just seen what DST is doing. We're reading about the ANRF, how money is going to be deployed. And there's a lot of focus on actually bringing these three constituents together. Bringing academic institutions, bringing industry, bringing government together to foster this kind of research. And I think Professor Kamakoti mentioned this in passing, but I want to amplify it. We cannot be a country of job seekers. We have to be a country of job creators. Not because it's a good thing to say, okay, but just because there are no jobs going around. This country is going to put out 1 million people into the job market every month for the next 100 months at least. Nothing else. This is pure demographics, just how this is shifting. Where are 100 million jobs? If everyone typed up their CV and put it on Naukri.com, their server will crash because there are no jobs. There are no jobs of the scale that we are talking about. So we have to create a country of job creators, not of job seekers. That is challenge number one that I would like to tell everyone in the group. Two is, I think the nature of innovation is shifting, and I can see Visesh from Special here. Gone are the days where we could take a good Western idea and copy it. And I'm not naming startups on purpose because who knows what is being recorded, but we've gone through a phase where well-funded startups were basically taking products from the West and putting an Indian wrapper on it. I don't think maybe there's a need for it in the country, but that's not the only thing that the country needs. We've gone through a phase, and we are living through that phase, and this one I am quite vocal, I can be quoted on it, of creating companies for needs that are not real needs. I always wonder, do you need sugar in 18 minutes in your house? Is that a burning need? That if sugar doesn't come in 15 minutes, if shampoo doesn't come in 18 minutes, something will go away. But we've created a generation of startups that are putting supply chains. So we have to, in a way, shift innovation to solving real problems. We have to, Professor Kamakoti mentioned a startup. I, by the way, am a mentor to that startup that is making the world's lightest weight wheelchair. We need someone who is not making wheelchairs of 20 kilos, but is making wheelchairs of 8 kilos, okay? We need the Agnikools of the world. We need the ImmunoActs of the world, which is trying to reduce the cost of CAR-T technology, which is, by the way, an important therapy for cancer, to 1/10 of it. So we need people who are solving real problems. So that's a little bit of, I look at all this and say, wow, can I be reborn and doing something here? Because the time is right. Time is right for all of you to do what you're doing. Then I want to demystify entrepreneurship. Okay, the entrepreneurship is as poorly understood a word as anything else. And we've heard many definitions of it. Since I teach entrepreneurship, I have my own definition of it. So my definition of entrepreneurship is that it's really about three things. Okay, first is, it is about surfacing an unmet customer need. And I use these words very carefully. Okay, it is about surfacing. Okay, meaning that customer need is there. It is lying below the surface. It is unmet. So what is the process? And the little I've learned is GDC seems to have a very good technology in inverted commas, to surface the unmet customer need. Is the first part of it. It is the most important part of it. Eventually, all enterprises exist to service a customer. That is the reason they exist. And to match that customer need with your unique ability to serve it. Unique ability to serve it, meaning anyone can serve an unmet customer need. What is unique about your ability? Is it the IP? It can't be capital, by the way. Capital is absolute commodity. Okay, capital is commodity. Color of money is the same. It can never be a differentiator. It could be a team, but then it has to be something really deep about a team. So, surfacing an unmet customer need and matching it with your unique ability to serve to create all-round value. We didn't discuss creating all-round value enough today. But creating all-round value starts with creating value for the customer. It moves to creating value for the investor, to value for society, to value for employees. And by the way, between my IIT and IIM, I was lucky to be an employee of the Tata Group. I spent 2 years in Jamshedpur as an engineer. And the founder of the Tata Group talked about it 100 years ago. He said, we exist to serve all needs. We don't exist to serve one need. We are here to service the customer, create value for the customer, create value for society, create value for employees, and create value for investors. I put investors last in that list, okay? Because all of that is important. So where am I in my thinking? I'm saying this is a great opportunity, wonderful opportunity, because India's time has come. India needs entrepreneurs. India needs tech-based entrepreneurs, and government is here to help. Academic institutions have that maturity to help. Large corporates have. So then if I were sitting in this room and saying, what did I learn? I have my own formula on what makes a successful enterprise, okay? And I'll build on a little bit of what I heard today. In my opinion, successful enterprise needs at least 5 things. At least 5, because I don't know if there are more than 5. First is there has to be the innovator or the IP, okay? That is the starting point of it, and we discussed a lot of it. But that is only the first thing. Second is it needs a complementary team. And I can't emphasize the word complementary enough. Okay? And with all respect to academicians in the room, the best co-founder is not your PhD student who finished last year, okay? Because the PhD student who finished last year will think like you, okay? He's in the same bucket as the first bucket, which is the technical. And there is empirical evidence to say that teams win, not individuals. So you need to have in your team complementary skills. The skill that I would say that you need, if you're a technical innovator, is you need someone who comes with market skills, someone who can come backward from the market. I was just discussing with Kunal, and we were saying IMA has an incubator, IIT Madras has an incubator, and the brief conversation we were having is, can they work together? Because they come at it from two different angles. You need a complementary skill. Third is, you need a mentor. Now again, mentor is a often used and poorly understood word according to me. Mentor is, one thing I've learned about mentor is mentor should not give answers, okay? Mentor should only ask questions, okay? But I have a problem with that also. If a mentor only asks questions and never gives answers, then that person is, at some point in time you have to intervene and say, boss, this person is stuck now. It's okay to give an answer, okay? You can't keep saying only questions, only questions. Mentor has to open networks, okay? Mentor has to open networks. And three is, mentorship has to be measured. Even if it is difficult, there is too much unevenness in mentoring. Okay, there is too much unevenness in mentoring because, listen, I was a consultant, okay, and there is a very rude joke about consultants, okay. Those who cannot do anything become consultants, okay. Now, lot of people are saying that about mentoring also. After you retired, after you finish everything, abhi kya karta hai? Mentoring karta hai. Arey bhai, there has to be some quality standard for mentoring. There has to be some consistency in mentoring. Mentoring cannot be only about asking questions, okay. It has to once in a while be about also stepping in, being in the same boat as the team. So that's the third requirement for entrepreneurship for me. The fourth is, I think there's a need for a scale-up partner. 0 to 1 journey is different from 1 to 10 journey, is different from 10 to 100 journeys, by definition. So when I am in the 0 to 1 phase, or when I am in the 1 to 10 phase, do I even have a visualization? Do I even have a visualization of who can my 10 to 100 partner be? And the 10 to 100 partner is very different from the 0 to 1 partner and the 1 to 10 partner. And guess what? They don't come overnight. They exist. They are born, they exist today. Can you start having, like how you have customer discovery conversation, can you start to have discussions with potential scale-up partners? Not to do a deal, but to learn. To learn that making product in the thousands is different from making product in the hundreds, is different from making product in the tens, is different from making a prototype, okay? And can you even have an appreciation of it? And as I have been looking at companies that don't scale up, it is because this need for a scale-up partner and need for someone who can open your eyes to scale up has to be introduced fairly early in the enterprise development process, okay? And finally, you need a safety net, okay? One part of the safety net is money. There are many other parts of the safety net, okay? Safety net is, in a circus, the person who walks on the tightrope is able to walk on the tightrope because there is the confidence that if something goes wrong, there's a net below me. So the safety net is a psychological safety net. It's a financial safety net. It is a network. A little bit of the role can be played by mentor, but it is more than that. So this is, I'm not saying I'm an expert, okay? As you all know, I was a consultant for 30 years. This is my new me. I'm trying to learn this, but I'm beginning to formulate my own little theory on how does tech-backed entrepreneurship formulate. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is, okay? Me and 2 other friends are running a program called Titanium at IIT Bombay, where we are trying to do this. In 1 year of Titanium, we've onboarded 10 teams, all starting with a faculty member, but moving through the phases. And so maybe in a few years, we'll have something to report. But congratulations to all of you. Listening to your presentations was wonderful. And I will only summarize by saying there can be no better time than now to be in this room. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. There's no better time than now. Seems to be ringing pretty strongly in my ears. Ramesh mentioned many things in his speech. He started with research, how academic institutions have moved from undergrad to research focus. He talked about entrepreneurship, talked about creating jobs, talked about creating products which are not incremental improvements to Western products, but genuinely Indian products to solve Indian problems. It talks about complementarity in teams. I think he talked many things, and all of them made solid sense to all of us here. And only one point I want to add to expand to what Ramesh mentioned is about research. Knowledge is created in research institutions, and when we're all graduates from this great institute way back in the 80s, it used to be primarily undergrad and hardly any research used to be done except for the basic sciences. I think over the period of time in the past 3 to 4 decades, we could see a dramatic shift in some of the institutions becoming more research focused than undergrad focus. Knowledge gets created over here. If you look at the United States in the 60s, 70s, 80s was the knowledge country. They used to create so much of research in their universities, which ultimately led to technologies, products, and solutions to society. And top 10 ranked universities globally used to be Americans, by and large, dominating. Look about 2 decades back, Chinese took over, and they are pushing the boundaries in terms of knowledge in multiple areas, and in fact, giving a run for the money to United States. You could see that in their publications, could see there in IPs, could see there in their universities being ranked in the top 10. I think time has come for India to sort of leapfrog in that framework by focusing on research, not staying at research, not staying at publications, but moving the bar further towards building a solution which genuinely the country needs towards meeting our own Atmanirbhar requirements. Indeed, inspiring talk by you, Ramesh. Thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate your thoughts. Big round of applause to him, please. We move on to the next agenda in our program. It's a very interesting panel discussion is coming up now. The panel discussion is going to talk in terms of innovation in the country, innovation or deep tech innovation with the talent, technology, and trust. That's going to be the topic where 3 interesting people are going to talk, and Raghottam Rao, my colleague, is going to moderate the program. I request Raghu to occupy the chair in the dais, please. Apart from him, we have Mr. Kunal Upadhyay of IMA Ventures. We also have Mr. Visesh Rajaram, especially, and Professor Satyanarayan Chakravarti, who is joining us through virtual platform. Welcome, gentlemen, to the stage, and over to you, Raghu, to start the panel. Thank you.
Am I audible? Yeah. Satya, can you hear us?
I can hear you. What about me?
Yes, you are audible, and you are large on our screens. Very good.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I'm sorry we are running a bit late, and I thank you for accommodating us. We will appreciate your time commitments as well. So good afternoon to all of you. I apologize for being late. I think the enthusiasm of the teams in the morning just overran a little bit. What we will do here in this panel, where I will very briefly introduce the panelists so that you understand where they come from, and then we will get into the question of, what does it take to create deep tech startups. You've heard, you've heard from the startups, you've heard from our director, you've heard from Professor Krishnan, you've heard from Ramesh some time back, and from Dr. Pramod as well. But I think let's hear it from people in the trenches. Right, so we have, just to introduce, we have Professor Satya Chakravarti on video. He couldn't be here today with us. Thank you, Satya, for accommodating. He's in Mumbai attending some important event. Professor Satya Chakravarti is a professor of aerospace engineering from IIT Madras and from Georgia Tech. Came back, became a prof, started teaching. Some time back, I think he also was running one of the most important labs in IIT and the country, the National Center for Combustion and Research, and he is also bitten by the by the startup bug. He has helmed, germinated, and created several startups, and we'll push him through a little bit on that. So thank you, Satya, for being here. I would also like to introduce the gentleman to my extreme left here, Mr. Kunal Upadhyay. Kunal is an alum from IIT M and from IIM Ahmedabad. He is told me today morning that he stopped growing at 35, and he's been recognized by Economic Times for one of the most promising managers under 40, right? So he's always under 40 now. Okay, and he set up and led, India-based funds, basically in deep tech. He's a co-founder at IMA Ventures. It started as another entity, as an incubator a few years back, now been rebranded as IMA Ventures. And it's one of the foremost incubators and I guess a catalyst in the deep tech, climate tech, health tech, and all kinds of tech. So we really can't have someone who spans incubation, investment, venture capital, coming here. Thank you, Kunal. We also have, to my immediate left, Mr. Vishesh Rajaram. He told me once, I'm not a tech guy, but he has a unique combination of being a chartered accountant, right, and an MBA. And he has worked in industry as a banker, as a venture capitalist, right, and as a consultant as well. So he's kind of rolled all the technologies in, and he is, and I'm going to also ask him this question, how did he get into the riskiest end of venture capital, which is deep tech startups? He's a managing partner in Speciale Invest, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, which specializes in early seed stage investments for deep tech startups. If you actually go to their website and see, you'll see a bevy of startups, some of whom are homegrown here, but fantastic nose for picking up technology and entrepreneurship combined. So welcome, Vishesh, to this, right? So the way we will run this is we will have some questions in common, but we'll have questions for different people at different times. But the theme is always going to be the same. GDC works at the very early end of potential deep tech startups, where you have only science, you have a lab, you have a prof, you have wannabe entrepreneurs, right? Or reluctant entrepreneurs. As Ramesh said, the best guy is not doing the research. So that's the combination that GDC works in. That's the combination from which 4,000 STEM institutions in this country have to create the deep tech startups. You also have the CSIR labs and all of those, but pretty much we're talking of the same raw material. We're talking of very heavy tech, very heavy bias and accent towards science and technology, and very little orientation towards markets and customers, right? So my first question, I'm going to ask Satya. I'm going to be a little biased towards Satya because I know he is remote and has some disadvantage, and he has some pressures of time. So Satya, if I can start off by asking you, what do academic STEM faculty and researchers, this is right up your alley, probably even poking at you, right? What do academic STEM faculty and researchers often overlook, when transiting to startup thinking? If you have to describe what early traction looks like for a deep tech startup in the lab, how would you say it from your personal experience and from the larger experience of your colleagues?
Right. Thanks so much. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you're good.
Great. Yeah, I'm going to basically take a leaf out of the lessons that I learned at INCUBATE. I belong to the second cohort. Until then, I was quote unquote the richest funded faculty in the world on combustion. I think I've had that validated by lots of my colleagues from around the world. And the notion for research that is very capital intensive is that somebody has to fund it, which means that if we were to build rockets or build planes or any of those kinds of things, the first thing that we actually look for is who is going to fund it. And when I got to the INCUBATE program, I was extremely disappointed through that entire program because nobody actually told me who is going to fund me. But it was much later, and I'm a little bit slow on the uptake. It was much later I understood what the INCUBATE program was all about, and that's what I'm going to answer your question on, that academics lack, right? There is the customer focus. So it's one thing to actually be able to develop some technology in the lab. Many times actually we focus on the science, the publication aspect of it and all those things. And that's a little bit different from actually developing a technology from the science itself. Because science can be done and published and all those things, but technology, you have to actually make something to work and with a certain goal. And that is still different from actually packaging the technology into your product. And finally, that is still not done. You have to actually see if this product actually has a market. And most of the time, academics are obviously married to the science and maybe the technology. They don't know how to actually package the technology into your product at all, because there are lots of things that have to come together for making the product that sort of envelopes the core technology. But they have absolutely no clue, or they don't want to talk about, they don't want to think about what the market is. It could be partly academic ego, right, which is what we call as Vidyagarvam, right? That is to say, hey, I'm here, the academic, I've actually brought this technology down to earth. It is for people to actually lap it up. I'm like, sorry, that doesn't happen exactly. You have to find a market for it. You have to find customers for it. You have to be solving a problem for a customer instead of actually looking at your solution as the hammer that is looking at everything as a nail, sort of thing. And that's what I learned from the INCUBATE program. In hindsight, after going through the program and getting disappointed that nobody was actually telling me how to get the funds. If we were to do what the INCUBATE program tells us, which is to actually be customer focused right from day one, I think the investor will automatically happen. And that comes as a next step instead of the first step. And then you will actually see the Visheshas of the world pop out from nowhere. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I was actually talking to one of my former students who drove all the way to talk to me about setting up a small modular reactor, which is a nuclear reactor. SMRs are kind of like nuclear reactors. And he was interested in setting up a nuclear reactor. And I was asking the question, who's your customer, blah, 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 every question that is INCUBATE does. And then I was telling him, go take the INCUBATE program one more time. I've done this like about nearly 10 to 15 times to anybody who comes and tells me about this. And at the end of which, he was asking me, who will fund? I said, you will find out once you actually find out their customers. So this is really the key point about academics having to, turn entrepreneurs. They just don't think about customers at all, maybe until when the product is out or whatever it is, and it may be a bit too late to pivot at that time and all that. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to take a cue on that and jump to Vishesh. You said that if you do find out who your customer, if academics do find out who your customers are, then investors come searching for you. So I'm going to ask you as an investor, Vishesh, when you meet technical founders, what tells you that they have done their homework, particularly in deep tech?
I think, there's two kinds of homework. This may not be on. So I think homework is a broad term. What you want to basically get conviction on is this person sort of ready to go the long road of building a company, right? And most of them are extremely successful. Case in point, Dr. Satya. Are they ready to slog it out and let go of all the frills or all the benefits of life that they've had to go build a company? And that really means how long have they spent in validating and understanding the science, understanding the technology, and understanding the customer. But we're very fortunate that we're partners with Dr. Satya and E-Plane, but I think it took us a good 6 to 9 months from when we first met to when we got. Not that Dr. Satya does not know aerospace engineering or does not know how to build the best plane. We were wanting to make sure that this is the only thing he's going to do for most of his life, of course, other than supporting entrepreneurs.
I hope the entrepreneurs here are listening, right? You have an investor saying something very, very, very profound.
And I think you have to think about building a business, and
I think you need to speak into the mic.
I think investors and investment is glorified way too much, and I'm very delighted to know that GDC doesn't talk about investors and a demo day to investors, because that should come last. If you are building a meaningful business and you're talking to customers, and of course there will be a gestation period between what customers want and what you need to build, but as long as you figured out that path, I'm sure money will find its way to you. And I'm glad that GDC does that, and it's no different with what Dr. Satya's journey has been.
Great. I think you need to switch that off. Yeah. So Kunal has the unique advantage of being both running an incubator as well as being an investor, right? So Kunal, how does it let me ask you from an incubator's perspective. What do you look for in early stage? Because Here every professor, every faculty, every researcher thinks, I automatically go to the incubator. Likewise in other areas. And probably people, some of them probably have that right. But what does an incubator really look for?
So again, I mean, different incubators would look at their value proposition differently and therefore would want to come and engage with the startup at a different phase of their journey. But given the fact that most incubators are operating at the earliest stage of a startup's life cycle when the risks are the highest, there's no clear definition of the product very often as well. The two things that stand out for me as an incubator person is one, the customer obsession, customer centricity, focus on identifying the customer's pain point that everyone has been talking about. But equally importantly, what I have come around to realize over the last few years that I've been in this trade is that there's something called the founder market fit that not everyone talks about. I mean, everyone has been today going around talking about the product market fit, which is very relevant for the VCs, for the investors. But at an incubation stage, what is equally important as customer centricity and getting a grip of what the market wants is the founder market fit, which is the founder has spent enormous amount of time trying to get a pulse of the customer, and the founder is also the right person for this market. And now we've seen enough instances where fantastic founders are pursuing opportunities that they are not meant to pursue. I mean, they may not have the skill set, and I mean, a very simple case in point could be trying to sell something to the government. Not everyone may be well equipped to do that. Or you may be pursuing something which requires significant knowledge of a certain sector for you to be able to make inroads, but the entrepreneur doesn't have that. So at the earliest stages, that becomes critical lens that we are going to use for looking at an enterprise.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on this founder market fit and more on how can prospective founders, which is really the audience, one of the audience that we are talking to here today, how do they become aware of this? In fact, we find most of them are not even aware of this, right? And how should they think about it?
Yeah. So I think the easiest way to know the pulse of the market is to really be talking to the customers, getting a good feel for what the customer is seeking. While you are doing that, and that's a part of the GDC program anyways, while you are talking to the customer, you would very quickly start seeing whether the skill set that you have as an individual or as a group of co-founders who are pursuing a given idea, whether you have what it takes to actually convince the customer. Now, the single most important skill set that I have seen that an entrepreneur needs to have, for example, is the ability to sell. If your core team doesn't have the ability to sell, that's something that you need to build upfront. And selling is not about just selling the product. The selling is also equally about selling it to investors, selling it to incubators, selling it to policymakers that something like this needs to be done. Very quickly, in 5 or 10 customer conversations, you would figure out what does this industry really require. And that's when you would spend enormous amount of time not just building that understanding deep expertise of a particular industry to again be able to communicate with folks in that industry better, but equally importantly know the skill set. Sometimes that skill set would be really about you going and able to actually talk about policies. I mean, this is very relevant in the context of, let's say, some of you trying to build defense related startups. If you don't have the understanding of the policies, if you don't have an understanding of the regulatory framework, you wouldn't be able to make much of an inroad into that. So each problem is going to have a different set of requirements from a founder standpoint, which only the founder would be able to figure out talking to the customers. But so it's not a science, there's no real answer to it, but it's a craft. You need to really, for each particular startup that you are trying to build, you'll need to figure out iteratively, you will need to practice the craft and then be able to bring the relevant people together and make a dent on the market.
So there is no formula, heuristics, framework for this?
You know, building a startup is not a science, it is a craft.
It's an art.
Not even an art, it's a craft.
It's a craft. A craft can be learned.
Yeah, a craft can be learned. That's what you guys are
Correct.
doing.
So that's a key point to know. So we're going the reverse order. So Vishesh, a question for you. You see, you are investing, you're putting money into, and you're betting on people. You actually used that word, right? Now, all the skills that both you and Kunal identified, you may not find, but you may find the technology promising, or you may find something else good enough. What do you bet on? Are you betting that the craft or the art can be learnt? What are you betting on?
I think you're really investing in people. I actually will skip back and take that word bet out, because you're really investing in people. You're investing in their capability, their vision, and their ability to build something very meaningful. Even closer? Okay. Yeah, I think you need to really, we're investing in people. I mean, as much as all the frameworks are there in E-plane, for the big plane, there are regulatory hurdles. The policy is not absolute, at least at the time when we invested. What did we invest? We invested in the vision that Dr. Satya has. I still believe that if a plane has to fly in the Indian soil, it's going to be his. Right? That's sometimes you have to imbibe that, and that comes with spending time and understanding their vision, understanding their capabilities to build a business around it. So I think it's hard to put any other answer there other than saying we're investing in people.
I'm just pushing you on that. Bear with me on this. Clearly you bet on people at a very early stage because you believe they have to make it happen, something which has not happened, something they have not done before. What are you seeing, or what are you looking for in those people to say that your bet is actually right?
Actually,
what gives you that confidence?
I think a bunch of things. One is just their own understanding of the problem that they're trying to solve for, right? And the understanding, I know we spoke a lot about customers, but just understanding customers and not knowing what to build and how to build is still living with a problem unsolved. So I think you essentially want someone or a group of people who are multifaceted enough to understand how to build the tech, understand what customers want, and go through that journey. And 8 out of 10 times we're investing in first-time entrepreneurs. The Indian startup ecosystem is still young. You're not always going to find a repeat entrepreneur. So they're not always going to know about institutional building. They're not always going to know about hiring. But these are things that you also have to give them a chance. I mean, I didn't start my life knowing how to invest in startups. It's been 18 years and I'm still learning. So it's very unfair to look at a founder with 8-9 months of a vision and say, you got to know everything. So sometimes it's about giving them also a chance to figure it out and being patient alongside that journey with some guardrails, of course, and then see how it plays out.
What I take away from that you're probably not saying, and I'm articulating, is they're judging the learnability and the willingness to.
Actually, you're judging the agility.
The agility and the learning.
Yeah, that's the all-encompassing word.
Okay.
Because you got to learn, you got to adapt, and you got to move.
Okay.
You have only so much time, so much money, and the world's also moving. So how do you be relevant in all of this?
Great answer. Satya, going back to you, the question, I'm going to ask it in 2 sentences. How do we what is your recommendation to create more Satyas in academic campuses? In the sense, you've taken the extreme step of even taking a sabbatical and going off. Now that's unlikely to happen. That's not the beaten path. But we need Dronacharyas, right? What is a systematic way, if it's possible, for an institution to create or nurture such faculty who are able to, let's say, create or foment or nurture entrepreneurship? What's missing? What needs to be done?
I'm going to disappoint you. This is a problem statement that I have not been bothered about at all.
Out of syllabus question, but please attempt.
Yeah, I know. Right. So, what the problem statement that I'm actually worried about is how to beat congestion with flying in cities. That's what I'm worried about. Right. So I'm not worried about how to make more Satyas. That's a different problem statement. That is for maybe some other time, as far as I can tell. But the contours of this is in the Indian academic system, particularly in the IITs, which are government run. To the extent I know, directors or boards of governors or any of those people can probably set directions largely to the students and faculty and staff or whatever it is, who are all the stakeholders. but it's very difficult to actually mandate anything with the kind of academic freedom that we enjoy. So there used to be these two paradigms that even during Professor Anand's time that we used to contrast between MIT being an idea factory and Caltech being a magic garden. And at that time, I think people were asking me, even back then when I was just an assistant professor, what would as I was actually transitioning to becoming an associate professor, they would ask me, what is it that I would actually tell younger faculty, how would I mentor them and all those things? And my answer was, well, I will do what I am doing, and if somebody is actually inspired to follow me, let them follow. We are just setting up a magic garden. There is no idea factory around here, right? Now, that said, look at IIT Madras. It's actually doing very well, right? You don't need to have exactly like Satya Chakravarti's all the time going on sabbaticals. In fact, if all of them actually went on sabbaticals, who will teach? They are actually doing their jobs, right? So we need faculty to be doing what they're doing. And despite that, you actually see about 100+ faculty who are involved in startups. We are actually the best in the country and actually at par with the world. What's wrong with us? Is this fine? We are perfectly doing fine. We don't need to do anything more.
Okay, my question was probably to look at the other 4,000 institutions. Maybe, one or two IIT Madras, IISc, IIT Bombay, they are exceptions.
That's a different story. That's a different story. Thanks for prodding me on that, right? I have actually personally been to a lot of these institutions, and they do ask me, I think the culture is very different. They don't have something called an academic freedom, right? Give people academic freedom. Academic freedom is actually something, I'll tell you what academic freedom is, right? At the bare minimum, we are supposed to teach 3 hours a week, and we are allowed to go home and take rest. Okay, I'll just put it very bluntly, all right? But you will see how many faculty really slogging, because we actually create something called peer pressure. And peer pressure is actually what sustains in the academic world. And it actually goes down, percolates down to the student level too, right? Each of us should actually be competing to be peerless, right? And that kind of, pursuit of excellence is something that academic freedom at the bottom line, which says you can do whatever you want, including not doing anything, is actually super important, right? That gives you, that's a bedrock of independence that tells you it's okay if like a few people did not do much, but let's all do other, more things. I don't see that happening with those 4,000 institutions. Go, stare in the eyes of those principals or directors or whatever it is, ask them the question, how much academic freedom do you give your faculty?
Academic freedom is 3 hours of lecture and do whatever you want for the rest of the time, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And, okay. So let me ask that question to, Kunal, and, you deal as an incubator.
I mean, whatever you want that is reasonable, that is technical.
Point taken. So Kunal, you deal with academic institutions, you deal with startups that come out of IIT Madras and many other places. What do you see? I mean, academic freedom is obviously not what you're bothered about, but you see a lot of other processes and ventures. What is missing that you would like as an incubator manager to get deep tech startups? What's missing? And again, don't look at IITs and, don't look at IIT Madras, Bombay, Delhi and all that. Look at the larger country.
So I think maybe the easiest way to look at the problem is not necessarily looking at it from an institution standpoint, but look at it from a city standpoint or a certain town standpoint, because while we may have the benefit of having interdisciplinary stuff happening here, which can make the design and the metallurgy guys come together and create the chair, but many of the other cities might not. And I'm going back to something very interesting that once Paul Graham, who's the founder of Y Combinator, once wrote, that what does it take to build the future Silicon Valley? There are practically 3 or 4 things that go into building a Silicon Valley from his standpoint, and this is an old essay from maybe 15 or 18 years back. He says, you need a lot of geeks, which is the folks sitting in the university, quite a lot of people here. You need a lot of believers, which is the investors out there, a lot of HNIs, in that context pretty important.
Who have money to lose.
Who have the money to lose, who are willing to experiment, who are willing to be the early adopters, either as a customer or an investor, becomes a very important second element to have. And the third and most important element to have is the culture. What has happened tremendously well, I feel, in the context of IIT Madras is the cultural evolution that has happened in the last maybe decade and a half or 20 odd years, where it has become okay to fail. It has become okay to take the risk. It has become okay to think out of the box and do something which has not been attempted before. If we can bring, and we look around most of the cities, there will be SMEs who are willing to do the investments. There would be enough top class institutions sitting. What may be missing is the culture. So if the cultural revolution that has happened at IIT Madras can somehow spread across the country, and maybe GDC is already doing it. We were during the tea talking about how the IIT Madras mafia is now going into different IITs and becoming faculty there and becoming entrepreneurs. This mafia will very quickly spread. But I feel that's the easiest way to really bring about the cultural change in the country.
Okay, so we mafias, all right. Thank you. Now, I'm again going to bounce this question to you, Vishesh. You said you bet on people, and I can clearly see if you're writing the first institutional check for a very, nascent embryonic sector and venture, you have to take a bet on the people. What can we do to create these people? What can GDC do or IIT do or any institute do? What would you like that we can help you create a funnel for this kind of thing? Is it possible at all?
I think it's absolutely possible. And I think over tea, we were chatting about the fact that GDC is actually at the grassroots of just putting frameworks for founders to think about whether they should be building a company and whether this is a problem worth solving. It was very refreshing to even note that even some of your startup presentations, I think they had one where one of the founders left. They're very calm and composed about it. They communicated it. None of the pitches actually asked for money. It was great to be here. Right? I think entrepreneurship is a journey. Fundraising is a one-time event, 5-time event, whatever. A few
events.
It's a pit stop. It's a pit stop at best. And therefore, I think giving individuals frameworks to think about building a company for themselves, institutionalizing it for the long, is a great approach to have. As against thinking of what is it going to get you to the first dollar, how do you raise the first round, keeping all of that aside, just distilling all of that away, to saying, firstly, entrepreneurship is an extremely painful journey, right? And we often talk about it on the inside. It's not spoken about enough outside, but it's a very long and painful journey. People have to first make sure that they have to do this, and to the extent they can get the right frameworks and tools to think about it, at least they're making a very informed decision. After you made the decision, you ride through the journey, right? That's fine. It's got its ups and downs. But as long as you're going through a program or a set of frameworks that allows you to think about really, is this something you want to do for the next 10, 15 years of your life? I think it's extremely valuable for the ecosystem. It's a blessing to the ecosystem. It's a different matter, number of startups that come to me, that's a byproduct. I think it allows people to really think about why they're building, what they're building, and should they be building. And everything else is a byproduct of answering some of those questions.
Great answer. Satya, going back to you, academic freedom, I think, is a policy decision. It's not, it is what we have, right? Academic freedom has many, I guess people will want to build accountability. So, it'll happen when it happens. But given what we have, right, what do you think we can do in terms of top 2 or 3 processes or initiatives or practices? I'm still at a faculty and research level that can get more from lab to market. Merely throwing more patents and stuff at the market is one way to fatten the pipeline, but that's like a brute force approach. Are you there, Satya? You're frozen. Okay, you're thinking hard. All right.
I'm there.
So how do we change the process for that? Yeah.
So in my view, I think in my view, you should probably attack the PhD students. So typically, Undergrads are the ones that are more risk-taking, but they typically kind of go through like YouTube for learning things and put things together, try fast and fail, not really go back to first principles and all that stuff. But I think first principles based product development actually can be done by the PhD students, but typically PhD students are risk averse. They are for quick, remuneration, wanting to have jobs that will pay them every month, paycheck to paycheck, that kind of thing. So is there a way by which you can select PhD students who will in turn pull their faculty advice, their guide, right, into the mix? Because guides are actually guides for the faculty who are even more reluctant. In fact, most faculty, I also did not know what is meant by equity. I had no idea what that meant. Okay, and I don't, and guys like Vishesh actually use phrases like skin in the game. I'm like, okay, I have skin. What is the game? I have no idea. I mean, completely, right? So you go tell a faculty that we will dangle a carrot of about 10% or 15% or even 30%, right, in the company. Why don't they actually join us? They are like, those are numbers to me. I mean, it just doesn't make, it just doesn't mean anything to any of them, right? So it's very hard to go try to brainwash faculty and all that stuff. I mean, first of all, you have to acknowledge that they have brains, right? But don't try to wash it, okay? Try to target maybe the PhD students and then get them to drag their guides into the mix. I would think that could actually be much more effective when compared to trying to take the bull by the horns.
I'm going to ask a question that based on what Ramesh actually said, or I don't know whether Professor Kamakoti said that, maybe both of them said it. See, students, particularly undergrad students, they're in their early 20s, they've not seen the world. And most of them, even in this institute, and I'm sure for most institutes in India, they're not trained for entrepreneurship. It's just exciting, glamorous, nice thing to show that I'm an entrepreneur, at least for most of them. So to expect them to all become job creators, I mean, it seems wrong by design, right? And you're not an expert after your undergrad education. I want each of you to answer on this from different perspectives. It's very unnatural to expect somebody going through 4 years of engineering and, you do free courses, you go and do art, you go and do free thinking, whatever else, psychology, and you don't become an expert even in your core discipline. Only 1/3 of your courses are probably there, right? So therefore, undergrad students, except for those who are probably privileged or come from family backgrounds or have it naturally with them, that cannot be more than 0.5%, I would think, right? Even statistically, postgraduates and PhDs, in contrast to what you were saying, they are there to learn more about the subject, and PhDs are probably not entrepreneurs by design again. They're trying to become academics, for God's sake.
Correct.
So how do we, create entrepreneurial thinking on campuses? Which pond do we fish in by design? We should not be pushing the wrong people again in the wrong buckets.
Correct.
So I start with Satya and then we can go around the table.
Yeah. So let's just face it, right? So a lot of things are actually wrong about academic institutions, right? So for example, faculty members are actually not necessarily, selected for any teaching training that they've gone through. They are selected actually for the research that they do, the publications that they have had, the projects that they have worked on, the potential projects that they will work on, the amount of funding that they can actually get. Are they sunrise sectors, right? Are they actually open to diversification? All of these things. And then they also ask the question, okay, how many core courses can we teach to undergrads? Because it's kind of like a chore that we have to do, right? So there are lots of metrics on which the person who is selected as a faculty has not got any training before. Okay. So, and then we still select them. This is not just an IIT Madras problem. It's not an Indian problem. There is a world over problem, right? So in fact, whatever applies to IIT Madras actually applies to the world. It's not as if like IIT Madras is doing anything different, right? We are following the best practice in the world. The only question is that can we do better than the rest of the world? That's the only thing that we have to think about. So after coming here, we have actually something called Teaching Learning Center. There are some faculty who are interested in teaching and so on. There are other faculty who actually discourage them from, showing more interest in teaching, right? So all of these things happen. So even the faculty are not actually the best teachers. Then you are talking about undergrads who actually are, not really learning entrepreneurship. I don't even know what undergrads learn at all in the first place. Forget about no core course experience, right? Nothing, practically nothing. The only thing that actually goes, right? So I'm not talking about IIT Madras. I'm talking about the entire world. Okay, I dare this. So what happens is that they see what is actually good about IIT Madras, for example, right? Is the campus. It essentially gets a bunch of intelligent people together, create that peer pressure, and hopefully constructively, right? And get them to engage in something very creative. That's all, right? After all of these things, I mean, I really shed tears that my students who are actually doing Avishkar Hyperloop, okay, and they are putting together hardware that does not exist in the world. It's not like they're actually making a car that is better than an existing car. Or Hyperloop does not exist, and then these guys are actually creating something completely out of the blue. And after spending 2-3 years really sweating it out, the nights and days and all that stuff, they go to join McKinsey, right? Tell whoever is sitting in front of
you have a McKinsey partner here.
Right. So is that okay? Okay, fine. The question is that guy actually trained for McKinsey? No. Right. So none of these things is right at all. I'm saying, and in spite of it, the system works. So you want to actually try to optimize this, or like super optimize the system. I have no idea whether you're going the right path. If you just let it the way it is and then flourish more and more, like scale it and all that stuff, maybe that's the right thing to do, in my view.
Chaos theory is what you are saying.
Yeah.
All right, great. So Kunal, what do you think? You got the question right? Where do we look for? Because the writing on the wall seems to be there are not enough jobs. We need to be job creators. But I think we can't have so many job creators what do we need to change?
So I do feel students across the world have been job creators. I mean, there are enough number of companies, even in the Indian context, that have gone on to become unicorns and really large, that have been created by student entrepreneurs or early or recent graduates. So I would say undergrad students are a fertile ground to actually be creating many of these companies. But at the same time, deep tech can be a slightly different ball game. It requires a much deeper understanding of the problem and the customer. And I feel that there is an opportunity for us to, especially sitting at IIT Madras, there is an opportunity to be creating a new set of technology commercialization, call them students, call them entrepreneurs in residence, call them market disruptors. I mean, this could be people my vintage, people who've been in the industry for 15, 20 odd years, who understand a particular market really well. Of course, the problem with that is very often with experience comes your disbelief in making, or your own or belief in yourself reduces. You start seeing a lot of risk. The benefit of having students is they think anything can happen. That's where I like the students pursuing many of these opportunities. But a mix of this, someone bringing a lot of experience into the group, partnering with the researchers, partnering with the students, can we create ventures of this nature happen coming out of IIT Madras? And I know that there have been attempts to create the MSc in Entrepreneurship program. Can you bring more practitioners here within IIT Madras by the dozens and bring them into the research laboratories and spin some of these off? I think that would become the playbook for producing many more E-planes and Agnikools out of this ecosystem.
Great points. And Vishesh, any thoughts on this?
I'm just going to take a slightly different stab. I think job creation is a thought process. You don't necessarily have to start a company right out of college and do something. So I think it's about being a mindset of saying that I should create something that can create jobs and create value, as against saying, what do I do in the mix of things to make a living? So I think that's the broader framework to operate within. The other point on really where do you want to harness, double click, I think there's the founder of NVIDIA has this very famous saying that if you're an entrepreneur, you need to be able to withstand a lot of suffering.
Okay.
If you're very thin on that line, you're going to have a very tough time. So if I had to wear that lens and look at it, I'm going to want to lean towards the folks that have spent more time in the institute, breaking their back, trying to find something that nobody else has found. So I have a leaning towards looking at more the MTech and the PhD students, because they're essentially letting go of the lost time of being in some great company, making all the money that they can to actually invest in a particular direction to build something. So, of course, all of this is from the lens of a deep tech investor wanting to invest in deep tech companies, wanting to look for founder market fit, all of that in. I would really invest my time with those that are willing to suffer more. Because I think it takes a lot of suffering to build a company. It's not a joke.
Great answers. I think all three speakers have given good insights. Satya says there's enough fertile ground here to, for good talent to surface up, good risk takers to come, and may the churn throw up the winners. I hear Kunal says there's a scope for getting it blended. You can get people who have moved out, learned something in the world, blend that here, and you have a greater chance. And I think what Vishesh, I hear him saying is, there are certain sects of students, certain groups of students, MTech and PhDs in his case, who have sacrificed something to learn their craft better. And from a deep tech perspective, I think there's learning in every one of these. I'm mindful of time. I'm going to ask one question to everyone. It's a bit of a selfish question, and you don't have to be polite. I'm doing my customer discovery for GDC. Okay? Satya, you've been a repeat offender at GDC, right? And you've come multiple times and still suffered us. But what is it that we can do better? You've done several ventures even outside of GDC, and you've seen several other faculty and all of that. As a faculty member, what can we do better, or what should we be doing more than we are not doing today as GDC to help academics create world-beating startups?
Yeah, so GDC starts at the ideation stage. In fact, you don't want the GDC teams to have had a product so that they freeze their thoughts around it and all the stuff. You are actually looking at customer discovery on what problems for the customer that you want to solve, and the BMC, the PMF, all of those kinds of stuff that you go through. And therefore, it's possible that most of the teams that actually come to you have not really incorporated a company, or maybe they've just about incorporated a company. They're actually at the very, very, the embryonic stage of where they are. What GDC could do, and I think you have a bunch of other programs. I don't know exactly what they are. I'm actually a huge fan of the INCUBATE program. And I repeatedly keep offering that to be taken by lots of entrepreneurs that come to me at that stage. But what about statistics? So are you tracking them from the first cohort to, I think now you must be some 30 plus cohorts, right? And where are they? And so go discover your customers who are the GDC the INCUBATE participants, and then track them. Now you actually have enough data about some literally thousands of people, right? What have their pain points been at different parts of the journey? And how is it possible for you to actually do follow-ups to address those much better in a data-driven manner, right? You may have, so the way INCUBATE started is to actually pattern it after the NSF ICO program and so on. You may have other programs that have these kinds of templates, but even in spite, I don't know if you have other ways by which you have collected data from all of these guys to find out what is the pain point that they have, and so that you will actually be able to offer a very robust program the next cohort and the next cohort and the next cohort. Yeah.
I hear you. We need better alumni relations. Thank you. Yes, Kunal, as somebody who's run incubator and a fund and, very innovatively, what do you think? And you probably dealt with some of our, both you and Vishesh have dealt. So the same question to both of you. What do you think we could do that could help incubators and people like you better?
I think the most obvious thing that you guys need to do is market yourselves even more, which is not just in the context of the researchers, but I feel that what you guys are offering here is fundamental to how the learning of any student ought to happen going forward, whereas they need to become problem-centric, they need to become customer-centric. I feel that program like INCUBATE should become almost a 101 of engineering school or a business school where customer centricity is ingrained in them. So you should figure a way out to really make it a part of the curriculum. But equally importantly, I feel that going forward, a lot more companies are going to be deep tech. While consumer-centric businesses that have happened over the last decade or so come naturally to most of us as consumers. I mean, I have a need to get something in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, and therefore the idea will come naturally to me. But in the deep tech area, very few people will have an understanding of what these opportunities are. If you have to widen this base, from the 100 odd people who may understand a given area, if you have to expand it to 1,000 odd people, can you actually work more closely with the industry and say that, hey, we'll try bringing in 100 people every year for this specific industry who will go around the industry trying to identify what problems exist, what needs exist for the customer. So this is not a solution looking for a problem. This is a set of people, whether it is students, whether it is academics. I mean, as someone pointed out, put aside whatever your solutions or invention is and really become problem and customer centric. If we can do more of that, automatically I think it will become a higher throughput model. Currently, I feel that maybe the starting point here is someone ought to have an idea or a desire to be a startup.
For the INCUBATE program, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, can you increase the throughput in some ways?
Okay, thank you. Vishesh?
Yeah, I think the increasing the throughput is definitely, and it's less so from GDC, more so because I think most entrepreneurs need this framework to think through. So as many of them that can actually come into this program and the visibility of the program to the larger community, I think that's the one thing that I would think would make a difference.
Thank you. I cannot thank my co-speakers enough for the great insights of wisdom. So join me in thanking Satya online, Kunal and Vishesh here for a great panel and for being such. And thank you all for being very patient audience. I think we will give you a good lunch. Thank you very much.
So, we'll not hold you too long between you and lunch. Just bear with us for another couple of minutes. We do have a small way of expressing our gratitude to the panelists. I request Professor Krishnan Balasaran to hand over our sense of gratitude in the form of a book.
The GDC practice is to torment our speakers further by making them read books, and when they come, they have to present a summary of what they have learned.
Satya will virtually give a book to you. Probably you can collect it subsequently back in the campus. We really had a very engaging conversations, and tribute to the speakers that you all stayed back and despite feeling hungry. It's really amazing to see that. We had a great day's session so far. We had an excellent presentation by teams, followed by talk by Director Kamakoti as well as Ramesh Mangaleshwaran, and then the engaging panel here. On the whole, it's been an enriching experience for me to be a part of the event today. Thank you once again for your patience and participation. The lunch is served in the hall adjoining over here. Please take some time off post-lunch to visit the stalls and engage the startup teams. Thank you once again. Thank you.